This is one of those days when I was younger, I wouldn't have wanted to come into work.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Why? It was a celebration last night. We had an incredible game. Everybody was happy. And then you get what you want. You want the 4 to 7% of making something happen, baby.
This is where, for me, like if you're a hardcore sports fan, you're growing up and it's, oh, man, what a dream to talk about sports for a living. But also, you don't take into account when your team loses in heartbreaking fashion, do you want to then just talk about it for 4 hours straight? Not really.
I didn't like what Heat fans did last night in my group chats. The whole game, super excited, loving the game. And then as soon as we lost, yep, wanted it that way. That's how it's supposed to work out. That was a good night. Just get out of
It's
here.
the duality of fan. I was experiencing it too. Like I was proud of Mitchell and them boys fighting with Bam Adebayo out of that game and building up that lead there. But also I realized, treetop view, this is what's best.
It was a fantastic game.
Woof. That hurt.
What?
That's how I feel.
It was, if you're Adam Silver, you could not have asked for anything greater than that game.
Except the next one.
In my opinion. No, because you had all the drama and the controversy of the Bam thing. If you're trying to defend the whole idea of the play-in tournament, which I personally dislike, that was a great advertisement for why the play-in tournament is a good thing. And if you're trying to get any focus off the tanking issue, which is omnipresent, you want a game like that where two middling teams are playing that game like it's Game 7 of a championship series. I thought it was a terrific night for the NBA, not quite for the Heat, but for the league. What a game. You couldn't ask for more.
Basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. Time for our favorite winter sport. The summertime is over, so let's head down to the court. Time for the tip-off. Give me fast breaks on the attack. Will you shoot a three or take it to the rack? Basketball is back, Jack. It's a dream shake down in the post, or a killer cross you love the most. When the offense tries to run and gun, is it man to man or box and one? It's big plays and talking smack. That's how you know that basketball is back, Jack. Let me hear you say basketball, basketball, basketball. Basketball is back, Jack. 360 dunks and pick and rolls. And we're gonna watch it every day till they raise the Larry O. Hard fouls and hook shots. A dagger three and hack a shack. If you say this game's the best, I'll say Zagak. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back, Jack. Basketball is back. Basketball is back, Jack.
I am in no way equipped to do today's show. I do not anymore, as an old dinosaur, have the stamina for what today requires, which is, Dan, it's the playoffs. It's the giant playoffs. It's unbelievable. It started all the drama of Heat basketball. And also, I shouldn't be working because a bomb has gone off in my house because my wife's father died suddenly. And I've got to make today matter because it's 4 hours of let's celebrate that the building is burnt to the ground and the Miami Heat thing is over after 15 years. Over, and it collapses like that with one of those damn Ball brothers who make bad shoes cheating. He should be suspended for the next game. Like that, he should have been ejected from that one. Like you cannot take out You cannot take out their best player because you're a child, because you're not a serious person. You're a good basketball player, but you as a family are not serious people. And now you're welcome to these wonderful playoffs that this Heat team birthed in the fires of 15 years. And that clown show in Charlotte where they've never had that big game in 10 years, last one you had was Purple Shirt Guy. Wade took you out too. You cheat like that, taking out Miami's best player by the ankle. Just straight cheating. He needs to be suspended, like, obviously.
Is there any chance he was trying to prevent Bam from falling?
Nope.
Okay.
These still shots, it's like, oh, you're falling.
Let me help.
You know, it's the second time he's done it to Bam this season. Game earlier this year, he did the exact
We
same
can say
thing.
flatly, this
actually 2 years
cheating-ass ball family. No, since the beginning, since Dad sold us bad shoes. Like, can't we just say this cheating-ass ball family? They just tripped the Heat to get to the playoffs, and now we're denied in Miami all of these wonderful games. Playoffs start last night. The next game was as good as the first one.
What a bizarre game, specifically for him, too, because, you know, you look at the box score, and all right, he rose to the occasion. He, in that fourth quarter, he, among many other Charlotte Hornets, were just flat-footed, shot-putting three-point baskets.
Mike, he missed 14 threes.
It was crazy. And then he has a big play down the stretch, and then he turns the ball over.
And then he fouls.
And he fouls.
He was lousy, if you ask me.
He's not a serious person, okay? Let's just say it flatly, and he might win a couple of games because how we play basketball now. Take 23s from over there, kid. I mean, that first half was not a serious first half. Brandon Miller, that's stupidity. That's like how you beat a team that's not a serious basketball experience playoff team. They're so much better the last 40 games than the Miami Heat, but you take out the Heat's best player, the Heat stay in the game anyway, and that's what you do to Knippel when he's doing this for the first time. Like that guy, that lineup only works when it's Brandon Miller on the floor, which he wasn't in the first half, and those three guys playing together. They made Ball a more serious, trusted person, but that person cannot be trusted. He cannot be trusted with a basketball. He cannot be trusted to guide a team through the playoffs. He's a cheater, and he needs to be suspended for a game.
The Hornets were playing like they had never been there before. Like it was getting to them. They were making all the mistakes, but then off the bench, a dude that is well familiar with the play-in and the Miami Heat's working it.
Getting that revenge.
White. Yeah, it was poetic. Colby White.
That was annoying.
That was a crazy shot that he made. Also, Tyler Hero going for the three. It was just, I mean, it wasn't exactly well played, but it was super entertaining. That was a very exciting game.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I felt great for the Hornets fan. I really did. It was a tremendous crowd. It's a dog shit franchise, the Hornets. They've had nothing for decades. And I felt good for those people. But, you know, the way it went down, obviously, I'm angry. I'm angry at what LaMelo Ball was allowed to get away with throughout the game. I'm not just talking about taking out Bam Adebayo, all right? He very clearly traveled at the end of the third quarter, and they allowed him to still get that pass to maybe it was Bridges, whoever it was, that hit a three at the buzzer with a very clear travel.
Bridges, whoever it was. Okay, look, Bridges. Bridges.
He was great last night.
No, but he was not on. Look, he does all the things that they asked of Knippel. Miami somehow, without their best defensive player and one of the best defensive players in the league, shut down what Tony rightly says is a guy deserving to be Cooper Flagg's company as Rookie of the Year. And he melted down in the first game of the fake playoffs because the Heat took him away. Because whatever the coaching advantages are of Spo's going to play a tempo and everything else, Knippel was a disaster and Stan's yelling on the broadcast. Knippel's better defensively than you think he is. Why is that, Stan? Why is he better defensively than I think he is?
Sneaky athletic.
Man, LaMelo had so many defensive breakdowns there. It looked like part of their plan was to leave Mitchell, who was Miami's best player last night, totally wide open down the stretch.
He's a dog.
He is. He's great in the play-in. But that couldn't have been intentional. Like, LaMelo's, like, pointing at somebody else. Like, Mitchell down the stretch, it's unfortunate for him. He started missing these wide open shots, and it looked like the defense decided we're going to concede and leave you open, like we're going to treat you like Tony Allen. That could not have been the plan.
So let's dig down on the last parts of that game just for a second, because the Balls are not serious people. But this is what basketball today has birthed, where we're going to play ping pong ball we're going to shoot from three. Trae Young's going to be a wizard. And that team, which hasn't played meaningful games in a decade, and didn't, even though he's been pretty good there, playing that ping pong style of nonsense that he's doing, where he can. At the end of the first half, he comes down and he takes 1 3 as if it's not serious playoff basketball. Takes 1 3, makes it from half court, and then comes back. I'm hot because he made one, and then takes another one, and it's dumb, and they go the other way. Fast break. Nobody's playing any defense. If Davion Mitchell had made a 3 with 4 minutes left that rattled in and out, that they go up 8 on them, and then it comes back the other way because Bridges or whatever goes 3-point play, you go from 8 to 2, and now the game swings back and forth ridiculously at the end with, Powell's going to make this shot over here, and Hero's going to make a ridiculous shot over here. That's as close as you can come to winning a basketball game without your best player, and Ball will advance. He does not deserve to, except for cheating well.
The fact that the Heat were even in that game, considering what those on-off splits that we've talked about all season long, they've been one of the worst teams in basketball all year when Bam Adebayo is not on the floor. The only reason they were even in the play-in, that they were even able to win any games throughout the season, was because of what Bam does on both ends. He goes out, and Kel'el Ware's performance, we haven't mentioned his name yet. What a gutsy performance by a guy.
Applause from Chris Cody on Kel'el Ware. Applause. No, you gave him 2 claps. You gave him 2 claps.
I'm going to let Jeremy finish his point because we're about to clap it up for a moral victory, folks. Go for it.
No, it felt good to watch in that moment, a game that the moment Bam goes out, you should not be in. I expected them to get run out of the building the moment Bam wasn't there, because the last time they played against Charlotte and Bam didn't play, they lost by 30. And Kel'el Ware, who the entire thing all season long was he can't play defense in a smart way. He can't anchor the zone. It felt like a testament to the way he was handled throughout the year, that he was able to show up in this moment, anchor that team, and he just ran out of gas.
It made me think
all did.
It made me think Spo should have played him more.
Okay, so there's 2 ways to look at it, and which is the proper way. It's either, wow, I can't believe Eric Spoelstra didn't play this guy 35 minutes. He's not a rookie. He's a second-year player. I can't believe they didn't play him 35 minutes a night because, whoa, look at what he's doing. He was a difference maker last night. But then the other way is, well, is it possible that because of the way the Heat handled him, he was able to rise to that moment last night? I don't know the answer to it.
Different, but wait a minute. You're talking about 18 rebounds, 5 blocks, just playing, shooting from 3. Evolving the sport, right? Somebody who does the Hassan Whiteside things isn't supposed to be able to also make the threes, and they haven't played it very much this year.
I mean, look, that game was played with 8 guys on the perimeter and 2 beasts inside battling for it. Diabate had plenty of big-time moments on Kel'el Ware.
That's what he does with 8 offensive rebounds, but that doesn't happen if Bam is playing in the game. Can we get back to the original point, please? A ball.
Of clapping it up for a moral victory.
One of those cheating-ass balls. One of those cheating-ass balls, the best of all the cheating-ass balls. Cheated his balls off last night. The best of all the cheating-ass balls cheated his balls off last night. You can't take out the best player by the ankle and, woo, I play my whip-de-doo ping-pong style because Bam's not out there. And so they can't play defense without Bam because Bam is their Wemby. They took him out 11 minutes in with a cheating-ass play, a player that never goes out.
To be fair, it was a really strong swipe from LaMelo Ball. If he's on his back, Bam weighs, 235? Bam's a big guy.
Vulnerable spot.
People forget how big LaMelo is.
For him to swipe at him and him to fall like that, incredible strength by LaMelo.
What a cheap shot, man. What a truly, weak play by a star who's just frustrated.
He's done it multiple times.
Just frustrated. And it's, like you said, it's not the first time. That previous photo that we showed, that's actually 2 years ago when they had those Heat culture uniforms on. That's how you know the difference. But what
he claimed he didn't know what he was doing after the game.
He absolutely knew what he was doing.
Didn't know what he was doing.
He was pissed that he
He's
felt
sorry,
like
though.
he got fouled.
He's sorry.
And then, by the way, kept going.
He also punched the mascot after the game. He doesn't know that.
These are not serious people.
It's not.
These are not people to be taken seriously.
It wasn't. They're not serious people. And while they were talented, they were playing like guys that were there for the very first time. The moment was too big for them.
Tony Knipple's a great basketball player.
And the Miami Heat, with all their playing experience and all their culture and all that stuff, and the fact that they have a clear coaching advantage, and they went up against an opponent that flatly did not play all that well.
Oh, my God.
Was barfing on the front of their jersey, and they still
Fake playoffs.
lost that game.
Because they didn't have their All-NBA player.
Fake
Come on,
playoffs.
Bro, what are we doing?
The
This is
Hornets-
not
They lost
the
by 1
standard.
point. Mike.
That's not the standard.
Mike.
Yeah, they lost to a team that was a joke.
Yeah, it's
Well, not the
not
second
winning.
half of the year.
The
I don't
Hornets
think
is
that's
not-
fair.
Yeah, no, the Hornets did not put up a winning performance.
You called them the best team in the NBA like 4 weeks
Guys,
ago.
this just to be clear on what happened last night, just so you know, when the Brandon Miller, LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple threesome play, and that's their starting five with Diabate, they were a team that was as good as the Celtics, and when they make their threes, which they did not last night, when they make their threes, they will run you out of the building scoring 130 and 40, and Bella will take shots from out there, and he'll miss 14 of them, and it'll be fine because they're not serious people.
And they took 56 3-point attempts last night. The vast majority of them were just like YOLO, like throwing it up, Rain Man, Philip Seymour Hoffman. And I know that's how they do it, but it didn't look like a team that deserved to win, especially when you juxtapose that with everything that we say about the Miami Heat. I know you can be encouraged, and yes, they fought, and you could look at 19 rebounds from.
What's he
from
encouraged about?
I'm with you, Zaz. I look at
They
that
were a 5.5
performance.
point dog against the stupid Hornets in a playing game.
I look at that performance and I'm like, man, this team is not a Giannis away. This team is not. Like the Miami Heat are far away. Was my takeaway from that game. And I think that, there's some real evaluation internally that the Miami Heat have to do. If they think that they're a Giannis away, I think they're off the mark.
I was embarrassed last night. Now look, the game was fun. Okay, let's make sure. But I was embarrassed last night. I'm embarrassed that the Heat were a 5.5 point dog at the Hornets in a play-in game, rightfully so. I'm embarrassed that they ended up losing that game. And I'll tell you what I'm really embarrassed about. I'm really embarrassed that I didn't recognize my team last night. What happened to the team I love? Bam Adebayo, all right? Bam Adebayo, the captain of this team, gets taken out on a dirty play.
Cheating ass balls.
And the Heat don't do anything about
This
it?
is a great point by Zaz.
Udonis Haslem was very diplomatic at halftime. That's fine. He doesn't have to.
Oh, he was smiling on television a lot last night.
He was very diplomatic.
Udonis Haslem, look, Udonis Haslem is...
It's fine.
Udonis Haslem is smiling for television very well. He
Yeah.
looks great. He is killing it on Prime
Yeah.
with a couple of other people. But yes, Udonis and Haslem would have never abided
Right.
this.
Udonis Haslem, when he was back on the team, and it's not even just about UD. Just think about what this team has always been about, all right? The toughest, meanest, nastiest, most physical team in the league. And their captain was taken out last night on a dirty play in a winner-take-all
By a
game.
not serious person, a cheating ass ball.
And no
Would
one...
you want to respond, Pele Larson?
Anyone!
You should go with this cheating ass ball take a little bit more.
Anyone! No one does anything about it? What happened to the team I love?
No hard foul. No, he's going up to the hoop, and I'm going to get him with a chicken wing in the middle of the chest. Like, nothing happened. I was
Where's
surprised.
Myron Gardner when you need
There
him?
was a lot of standing around when Bam went down. Everybody's looking around. What happened? Nobody ran
I mean,
up to him.
Fontecchio's got to get in there and do
Yeah,
something.
he's
Exactly
just
right.
gonna-
Where's
he's
Dexter
just gonna
Pittman?
shoot threes that'll hit the backboard and leave after 6 minutes. That's what Simone Fontecchio is going to give you.
I'm embarrassed by that. I am
You
embarrassed.
make a shit shot.
Birdman ain't walking through that door.
The whole thing was like, okay, this is the end of whatever this is, and I don't know if it's the end of Bam being the best player on the roster. We can say up and down and be accurate. Yeah, he was sent out of that game because of a dirty play. The reality is he scored 83 points in a game this season. He was healthy this season. He was your best player this season, and we all saw together what that results in. When Bam Adebayo is your best player, healthy for an entire season, it ends with you being the 10 seed in the East and being eliminated in the first round of the play.
Okay, and that will be where Heat fans arrive on burying this team because it's all about the results. But just getting to the micro at the very end on when the game ends on the idea of Davion Mitchell is shooting down the court again to see if he can get there faster for a layup, and it's blocked by 3 people at the end. But on the other end, I have this right? LaMelo Ball, Khalil Ware is not in the game when when LaMelo Ball is at the rim and doing things near the rim, and you've got a guy in the game who needs to play more because he is. I feel like it's fair to question how it is the Heat handled a player who was supposed to run to wherever the evolution of this game is near Wemby on. We have to ride Ware and Bam as far as this thing takes us. If we're going to carry Bam into the next round, Khalil has to get better because he's playing the 40 minutes. That's where we arrive as the wheels collapse on this thing, right? As the car spins out and the wheels go into the crowd, you guys are left wondering on top of everything else, why didn't they didn't trade Ware for Giannis? Like why, like where and how he might be the future of the league, because that kind of player, if that's the production you get for 40 minutes, you're watching two very athletic teams playing unserious basketball, but one guy out there looks more athletic than all the others.
Why didn't they trade Ware for Durant? In fairness to the Miami Heat, it was reported that Ware was in the package and that they had the best package, and Milwaukee, an unserious team and organization with an unserious superstar, decided to not do that. But it's not. It goes beyond just Ware. There were moments that I'm just like sarcastically saying, even though he played well, this is why you have Andrew Wiggins. This is why you keep him. There were guys on that court, Norm Powell and Tyler Hero, for example.
This is the biggest part.
Two All-Stars, Dan, that they had on their roster. You have 3 All-Stars. You have Bam Adebayo. You have Tyler Hero. You have Norm Powell. Norm Powell was a home run of an acquisition the first month of the season. He played himself to being an All-Star. Jeremy, Tyler Hero and Norm Powell couldn't coexist on the floor together.
That's the biggest referendum of where this specific build went wrong, and you can blame injuries throughout the year. Oh, they weren't on the floor at the same time long enough to figure out where they fit within the rotation. No, those redundant skill sets were exposed last night in particular, where at the end of the game, you don't have both guys out there making plays for their teammates and for each other. You have to substitute each of them for one another. They can't play even 1 minute together outside of a possession at the end of the second quarter. There was like a possession where they're both on the floor because they're trying to get, I think it might have been at the very end of the game, because they're like, all right, we have 4 seconds left.
We need something, right?
Something, and we need every option out there. But the fact that those guys couldn't play on the floor together is the biggest referendum of not necessarily, oh, you can't build around Bam. It's this thing that was built around Bam was not a proper build with those two guys having those skill sets. And now you see, how do you retool with one of them as a free agent, one of them in an expiring contract?
Yeah, well, that Bam can go into Bam can ask, he can opt out. He can't Bam go into the next season getting out of the contract?
Into the next season, not this offseason.
No, but I'm saying, can't Bam become disgruntled the next? Look, everybody's going to want Bam. He's expressed frustration this year.
He has. He's actually saying the things in press conferences and putting up the performances. If Bam Adebayo were, say, a New Orleans Pelicans,
right,
Miami Heat fans would be saying, let's go rescue Bam Adebayo.
He has 2 more years and then a player option.
But what if he were to ask out, though? Like that. Look, the wheels have fallen off of this thing. What if? Look, there are some things I know here. These guys have become these just giant economies, and they're more important to the franchise than the franchise is to them. I don't know what you think of Bam Adebayo, but on that floor last night, I suspect he would have made a difference, because he's one of the few people in the world who offensively and defensively is among the 15 best that there are. And he probably would have deserved to win a mature playoff game last night, which is not the one that was played because they took him out of the game cheating. They took
fake
out
playoff game.
But when you see Knipple fall apart and Ball's not a serious person who can be trusted in playoffs or fake playoffs, Bam was going to win with whatever the experience of the last 5 years was, because he's the guy with the best plus-minus in the league, because he brings it every single night. He started 3 for 3, and he was going to eat at the rim all night because Stan was already yelling, oh, yes, they don't have something. They got to get Grant Williams out there. He's too strong for him. Stan is shouting that the game is going to be taken over there right by twos, is that Bam's going to have one of these nights, because they're going to go to him for 45 minutes. They're going to run the team through him because, no, Khalil Ware, you're not the standard. We don't trust you yet. The captain's who we trust. That's offensively, defensively, brings it every night. That's the guy that we trust. And we're not going to play you with him for whatever the reasons are. None of us understand them, because I don't know enough about basketball, but I do trust these people to know that, like, they wouldn't be petty about demanding so much that wear meet BAM standard that they suffocate and imprison wear in that, right? They wouldn't do that.
They toiled away all season trying to make that work, but they did for this game. They started them together, unfortunately, and we ended up having a pretty decent game, especially with Bam being knocked out. But we don't really have the result of what that would have looked like. Had Bam not been injured, and I hope he's okay. Like, he might have seriously hurt his tailbone. He's a very
I hope he's
tough
okay.
guy.
The season's over. He'll be better by the start of next year.
Just generally, I don't like it if dudes break their tailbones. But I mean, the Miami Heat do probably win that game if Bam Adebayo is healthy.
We don't know if it's a broken tailbone. But can we get back to how big does a fake playoff game have to be for like what storyline is this? The 5th or 6th one on Ball cheated to injure the Heat's best player, and you guys are like, it's just a bad tailbone. That dude never leaves games. Like, that's the one. The one body that never breaks.
Always plays.
Like, I don't know what that was, but that's not a serious basketball play. Like, I would assume that anybody who plays basketball would look at what happened there. Anybody who has any sense of honor and would say, that's childish shit you just did for no good reason, just because you're frustrated because you haven't made your last couple of shots.
Well, let's stay there because Eric Spoelstra did speak about this in the post-game presser.
I didn't see it, but I don't think it's cute. I don't think it's funny. I think it's a stupid play. It's a dangerous play. Obviously, our best player is out. I'm not making an excuse. The Hornets played great, and they made those plays down the stretch. We had our opportunities to win. I just, that's a shame. He should be penalized for that. I don't think that belongs in the game. Tripping guys, shenanigans, and Curtis was there. It's his responsibility to see that. And if it's not his responsibility, then Zach's got to see it. If somebody has got to see that, and that he should have been thrown out of the game, for that. I don't know him from, anyone. There's no place in the game for that. Obviously, it took Bam out of the game.
I wonder who's calling that funny or cute. I'm not sure exactly what he's saying. What are you talking about?
Just, you cleared your mic. I'm sorry. Were you guys not laughing at the same thing I was, which is that the first plume of smoke that came out of Greg Cody's mouth?
Dust, yeah. I saw dust come out.
I
saw dust come out. I was like, oh.
All right.
So it was
blowing up an old...
Laugh it up at my expense, guys. I stay here. I come here, man. I'm wearing a beautiful flannel, all right? Dan said Trae Young is a wizard in his analysis, and we just let it go. I'm just here trying to be a good teammate and work myself in. Everybody forgot I was here, and you jumped down my neck the second I try to contribute. I'm an ally here. We're on the same team.
I'm going to commit blasphemy here based on everything I'm hearing. It's arguable whether that was an intentional play.
Get out of here.
It's arguable whether that was an intentional play.
Let's go to Spo on it. Spo never says anything this controversial. This is Spo. This is fangs for Spo.
Tripping guys, shenanigans, and
that's right. That's what it was. It was shenanigans from one of those cheating ass balls.
Tripping guys, shenanigans, and
that was. Okay. Tell me he's wrong. Somebody in the nation. Do you have no honor, people?
Okay, he's saying it's shenanigans.
No, that was shenanigans. Clear and obvious shenanigans.
No, it wasn't clear or obvious.
It was the bullshit.
It was obvious. The obvious bullshit.
Okay, you all are a bunch of homers. You call me a homer. You're a homer right now for saying they cheated.
Cheating ass balls.
You're giving the Heat an excuse they didn't deserve. They lost the game not because Bam went out. They lost the game because the two best three-point scorers in the league went 2 for 22 from three. That's the only reason the Heat were in the game all game and late, because Charlotte wanted to gift them a win.
Tony, defend your nipple.
Yeah, you had a bad game. Like, I don't think defensively the Heat did anything that were like super great to
Deer
defend
in the
him.
headlights every time they showed him.
It was a tough.
And his parents.
Too.
Everybody's scared.
It was unfortunate.
The whole family was scared.
It was unfortunate.
They'd never felt anything like that.
I agree. He went 0 for 4 to start, and it was like all of a sudden, we're going to one of these moments where he's getting stuff at the rim, it's getting blocked, he's missing shots, and things can go downhill quickly, and they did.
What happened to the team I love? He intentionally, despite Greg's objection, takes out the team's best player and the captain. And no one.
What does Giannis say? Can we get? I don't know. When I'm saying It is nice to see Giannis on television. It is nice to see Prime cover these big games so well, and the evolution of basketball is super fun. That was not a serious first half. Brandon Miller was not ready for the moment, acted the fool. Everybody will forget it. Even though that starting lineup, like that, the funny thing about that team, Tony, is if they're hitting their threes over the last, 40 games, it looks like they can beat anybody and that they've grown up because it's no longer just Ball. Ball trusting Miller and Knipple has formed a fivesome that if they hit their threes that night, they're going to buzzsaw people.
Not only that, Miles Bridges is the adult in the room. He's a guy who's been through some of these wars on different teams, which is scary, true.
So good, but he was so good.
But he was great last night. He was hitting big shots. He was taking stuff to the rim. He had the alley-oop, playing good defense.
The thing about that game last night that happened, Tony will know this because it was really fun to watch what the Hornets are doing with basketball. They're not serious people. It's ping-pong basketball. And, yes, Bridges in this league can score 30 on anybody, but they haven't needed him to because Brandon Miller and Ball and Knipple make the game very easy geometrically with their athletic skill sets. Those three guys together on the court, they went 19-2 over a stretch over the best teams in the league. We're winning on the road. That team, when it makes its threes, can beat anybody, but you don't have to be serious people in these playoffs, not if you take out the best player on the other team by cheating.
You look at what Boston does, which is kind of the same thing that what Charlotte does, but you have serious people and you have a good coach and you have an adult in the locker room over there in Boston where you don't have that here in Charlotte. But the guys that stepped up, even though they're all unserious, made plays at the end of that game. Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller hit a bunch of big shots. Like, Khan wasn't there. I'm sure that he'll play better in a series. It was just a tough game for him. But when they needed to, they stepped up, and LaMelo Ball is great off the dribble and can get his on anybody.
Diabate is the reason why they have been so strong in the second half, because when they're not hitting their threes, it's second chance points. And for the Heat, like if you look at the regular season, their defensive rebounding percentage when Bam was on the floor would have been the best in the NBA. Their defensive rebounding percentage when he was off the floor was 28th in the NBA. And last night, it was 59.4, one of their 5 lowest of the season. But when he was in the game, it was sky high. So their ability to stay in that game when they were missing all of those threes was fully predicated off the fact that Bam wasn't out there. Khalil Ware was helping on the offensive boards for Miami, but on the defensive end, Diabate was able to get so many opportunities for second chance points, and that's why they stuck around and then made those plays down the stretch.
Shenanigans.
You want to hear the explanation? It's a ridiculous explanation from LaMelo Ball after the game.
Sure.
I apologize on that one. I mean, I got hit in the head, didn't really know where I was, but I'm going to check on him and see if he's okay and everything.
LaMelo, it kind of looked like on film that you might have grabbed his leg. I mean, did you intentionally grab his leg?
I haven't even seen. Like I said, I got hit in the head, didn't even know where I was, but yeah, just playing basketball.
You don't know where you were. You're looking up at his ankle.
Haven't seen it. You lived it.
He is in this still shot, like looking.
It was the
right
most
up
important play of the game. We're talking about all the plays at the end. We're ignoring that Hero made an amazing shot. We're ignoring all the ways the Heat should have won the game at the end against unserious people.
We're also ignoring that he's admitting he had a concussion in that game.
No, he's not. He's not admitting that. He's trying to hide behind all CTE research. He's trying to hide behind.
Dan, he admitted later he doesn't know what a concussion is.
Shenanigans.
That was clear and obvious shenanigans, and Cody's calling me a homer.
Well, look, obviously I'm alone on this topic.
Obviously.
But I will say that Giannis Haslem, of all people, said he did not think it was an intentional.
All right, well, let's talk about this for a second. So here this is on television last night because Giannis Haslem, Zaz is taking umbrage. Look at what is happening here, and look at the camera, please, because I want everyone to know the nature of this beef, okay? Giannis Haslem is champion voice for Miami in a million different ways, and he would have never abided that. He would have slung somebody, maybe the entire Nipple family, into the upper deck, the three of them.
Obviously, emotions are flying.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to go to it just I'm going to go to it in a second.
It was a little confusing.
No, that's fine. That's my fault. I'm rattled for a number of different reasons.
Trae Young is a wizard.
I just realized, look, I'm not equipped to do today's show. I just realized that I have breaking news. Like I have breaking news on this Giannis stuff that I haven't even gotten to. yet, and I'll get to it in a second because I've gotten lost in sort of like I shouldn't be doing this show today. I'm not equipped to do what the Heat playoff basketball has broken me, and it's too much. And I'm sorry that I'm off.
Well, you're going to be okay though. They don't have any this year.
But
it's fake playoffs, Dan.
Yeah, wasn't a playoff.
But it's all over.
We're doing the Udonis tee up.
Thank you. Oh, that's so soothing. Oh my God! If the inner monologue would just work like that, I would bathe in it. Yes, I got lost.
I'll handle this, Papa.
Thank you,
Don't
gracias,
worry. I know
papi,
you've been through a
papi,
lot.
gracias,
Maybe
gracias.
you can go home early today. I think.
Gracias.
Look at the looks on everybody's faces. They're a little
Gracias,
scared.
papi.
All right.
Gracias.
Just deep breath.
Aguántame.
Deep breath.
Gracias.
Here's the Udonis Haslem clip.
Well, obviously emotions are flying. Everybody's competing at a high level. You go for a loose ball. Bam goes to grab the loose ball. It bounces, I think, off LaMelo. And LaMelo grabs Bam's leg. And Bam takes the hard ball. Definitely a leg whip. Definitely a little WWE there. But what I will say is LaMelo's not a dirty player, so I don't think he meant to do that intentionally to hurt Bam. But in the height of the moment, as everything's going on, sometimes you make decisions, split-second decisions. I think he made a split-second decision. But hopefully Bam's able to come back. But the unfortunate thing is the ref sitting right there. That's got to be a call. Something has to be called. I don't know if that's a flagrant or a regular foul, whatever. That's up to the referee's discretion. But I think something has to be called at that point of the game. That's a huge, huge play to miss.
Okay, so the point, though, honestly, the point, because this is the Heat's voice on television at halftime, and Zaz, I think you should look at a camera and tell Udonis Haslem that he needs to toughen up the Miami Heat because your standard seems to be higher than his standard on what happened there.
I'm not going to give you what you want here. I think I'm the wrong person right now because I don't have a problem with what Udonis Haslem did there. Like, yes, me and all of Heat fans were hoping that Udonis Haslem at halftime was going to go scorched earth. I don't have a problem with him saying that I don't think LaMelo tried to intentionally hurt Bam. There's no way he tried to. Nobody is out there trying to intentionally hurt someone else. But it doesn't mean that he didn't intentionally try to trip him because that he absolutely did. Udonis's job is to be an analyst on Prime. His job is not defend the Miami Heat at every second. So I really don't. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Dan. I don't have an issue with
He
Udonis.
has to defend them against these accusations.
Tripping guys, shenanigans.
Spoelstra did after the game. Spoelstra knows what the standard is.
Shenanigans.
They didn't like Jimmy Butler's.
Shenanigans.
And then they ran him out of town.
Shenanigans.
And no, Udonis didn't abide this shit. Udonis was holding Jimmy Butler away from Spo.
Shenanigans.
For shenanigans.
All right, Udonis said he didn't think it was intentional. 3 referees.
No, he said he didn't think he intentionally tried to hurt him.
3 referees.
Well, wait a minute. That's what is that? The intent or the consequences? The intent or the result? Like, it doesn't matter whether he intended.
Will these assholes let me speak?
3 referees on the court saw the play and didn't call a foul. Okay, I'm not saying it shouldn't have been a foul, but there's a reason the 3 referees didn't call it.
Because they missed it.
And there's a reason why the Heat didn't retaliate. If that was as intentional and as flagrant and as dirty as you all say, there would have been retaliation. The fact that there wasn't doesn't mean the Heat are weak. What it means is maybe they didn't think it was an intentional flagrant foul.
Here's a great way to avoid getting injured in the play-in and ending your season if you're Bam Adebayo. Consider being good enough to not be in the play-in. Has anyone considered?
They tried that.
Look,
It's a theory.
They tried that. Look, because we spent an entire season saving Jimmy Butler's body, and that guy got hurt.
Yeah.
In the play-in. Maybe we shouldn't be playing extra games. Maybe this roster should be good enough to get into the actual playoffs
Yes.
without needing a play-in to get into the playoffs like they've needed for the last 3 years.
Well, Zaz, correct me if I'm wrong. When you go 0 of 9 between the Magic, the Raptors, and the Celtics, it's going to be tough to be out of the play-in.
Well, no, it was 0-9 just Magic and Raptors.
Oh, just Magic and Raptors, my bad.
That's again, the standard is championships. And you were chasing the Boston Celtics. You eliminated them. They did the drastic thing. They passed you. But now you're being passed by the likes of Charlotte. You're being passed by the likes of Toronto. Again, to my original point, I don't think we're a Giannis away.
Orlando, Atlanta, and I have failed to get to the Giannis news. I can't believe I haven't mentioned this because I think
tease.
Everybody's going to find it really interesting because of like what's known about how close that was to happening that hasn't been accurately reflected, and I can't believe I haven't gotten to it yet. So here it is. Can you believe that that's how he would have been in a Heat uniform?
Best F1 minutes with Jessica Spatana.
After a blank space on the calendar, Formula One is back in Azerbaijan despite its reputation for tight corners and narrow roads. F1 is putting a sprint race in Baku. On Saturday, Charles Leclerc is fearless in pole position as the sprint begins. But at the start, London boy George Russell delivers some karma to Max Verstappen, making him a move to push him wide. Max is red, but George says, "Don't blame me." Number 22 Yuki Tsunoda clips the wall and loses a tire after just 2 laps. At the restart, Sergio Perez has a lead with 5 laps left. It's time to go. Checo wins the sprint race, but Max and George have bad blood when the race ends. You guys see what I'm doing yet? Will there be vigilante shit on Sunday?
This
Max,
is amazing.
You need to calm down because it's lights out and away we go in Baku. Sparks fly, and Verstappen is driving like he's in a getaway car and pulls out into the lead. Long story short, Nick DeVries has a glitch and a safety car ensues. Perez is in the lead after a slew of pit stops, but he's not out of the woods yet. The one driver, Max Verstappen, has speed, but that's when Sergio Perez says, "Bye-bye, baby." As the race ends, Esteban Ocon goes into the pit, but the mastermind race organizers have let press onto the treacherous pit lane. This is why we can't have nice things. 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton finishes 6th. The last great American dynasty, Haas, finishes out of the points, but today was a fairy tale for Sergio Perez. Verstappen finishes in 2nd, which is better than revenge. 1-2 for Red Bull is nothing new. They don't have champagne problems on the podium, but the anti-hero Max Verstappen is only ahead in the Drivers' Championship by 6 points. Fernando Alonso and Taylor Swift rumors are swirling. Long live Formula One. Max Verstappen has won the Drivers' Championship, but we still have 4 races to go. In Austin, Daniel Ricciardo rides a horse named Horsey McHorseface into the paddock. Zach Brown accuses Christian Horner of cheating, and Fort Lauderdale's own Logan Sargent will join Williams in 2023. During quali, Carlos Sainz takes the fastest lap while his teammate Charles Leclerc takes a grid penalty. Martin Brundle gets snubbed by Brad Pitt. Tim Apple doesn't know how to wave a flag. 440,000 people are at the Circuit of the Americas. It's lights out and away we go. On turn 1, Max Verstappen gets ahead of Carlos Sainz, and Sainz tries to recover, but gets hit by George Russell. The Spaniard is out of the race before the 1 lap is even over, and Russell takes a 5-second penalty. Valtteri Bottas' race ends early, and a safety car helps out Charles Leclerc for once. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll get in a massive collision, and debris is everywhere. Lewis Hamilton, on hard tires, leads the race with 10 laps to go, but the Flying Dutchman cannot be beat this year. It's Verstappen, Hamilton, and Leclerc. Sebastian Vettel battles to the finish in his final USGP. Baby Lando finishes 6th, and Yuki gets a point. Red Bull wins the Constructors' Championship for the first time in 10 years, a day after their founder's passing. People are crying, there's champagne flowing, fireworks are popping off. Everything is bigger in Texas, Dan, except for F1 drivers.
Yes, it's time for the F1 minute here, even though I want to hear that sound
gave it
again.
away?
Je suis stressé pour les minutes de Formula 1. J'ai besoin d'énergie. Énergie.
Let's go, energy.
Oh, energy.
Bonjour et bienvenue à Circuit Paracas pour le Grand Prix de France. Les températures élevées sur le circuit signifient que la gestion des pneus va être essentielle. Charles Leclerc, le pilote automobile monégasque, fait face à Max Verstappen pour la première place. Le pilote Ferrari doit gagner pour rester dans les championnats. Mais non! Quelle horreur! Une catastrophe! Sacré bleu! Charles Leclerc sort de la course! Encore de la malchance! Il est fini! Une honte! Max Verstappen prend une grosse avance. Lewis Hamilton, le pilote Mercedes, est 12e. Carlos Sainz, l'autre pilote Ferrari, a commencé à la 19e place. D'où sa pénalité pour le changement de moteur. Et les roues contre roues avec Sergio Perez, mais l'imbécile de chez Ferrari recommence. Max Verstappen a fini premier de la course. Carlos Sainz est le pilote toujours. Lando, l'enfant Norris, a terminé 7e. Lance Stroll a terminé avec un point. Félicitations, Mike Crack.
Huh?
Wow! Oh my God!
Holy shit! Holy shit!
Merci.
Oh my God! Was there an imbecile in there? Did you say
Les
imbecile?
imbéciles de chez Ferrari recommence.
That sounded so exciting. I have no idea what happened.
Les pauvres Charles Leclerc, les pauvres.
My God, that was incredible.
That was
I
really
am
good.
so
Merci,
jealous that you can
merci
do that.
Christophe, merci Guillermo.
Well, the music ran out, but I think you should, because we didn't have an F1 minute today. I think you should give people Lord of the Rings minute. Yes, I think you should give people.
Spoiler alert or no spoiler
Dangerous
alert?
game, man.
Dangerous game because of what?
To us, you can spoil as much as you want. So I say go for as many spoilers as you like.
All right, I'll give a spoiler of what happened at the end of the last
Hold on.
episode.
Let me get you
Hold
music.
It was insane. Okay, so spoiler. Do not listen if you don't want to know what happened in the last episode of The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. So Galadriel and Halbrand, who everyone thinks might be Sauron, they go from Numenor back to Middle-earth, and they're in the Southlands. And the guy who's like the head elf of the Southlands, who's trying to help protect all the people who are getting invaded by the ORC army, they're trying to figure out how to get the orcs to go away, the ORC army, and to get free of them. And right now, a lot of people are calling it Before-Dor. We think they're in Mordor before it becomes Mordor, before Mount Doom erupts. Interesting, because there's been a mountain that they've shown a couple times in different scenes throughout the
I am grateful that Jamel Hill, a friend here, is coming in to talk to me about this Mike Vrabel story, because I need some genuine help here, walking a line on somebody who's a friend of mine. And Jamel, I thank you for being on with us. And I hate to sound a little bit nervous, but I don't really want to talk about some of this stuff, but I would like to learn, and I'd like to talk about some of this stuff journalistically, because you have protected a standard for 30 years, and I just want your help walking me through what's happened with this Vrabel story, because Diana Rossini had to, or chose to resign from The Athletic yesterday, and the New York Times has a standard that the NFL doesn't have, that the President of the United States doesn't have, and so I want you to walk me journalistically through a standard that we're trying to protect that seems to be different for different people.
Yeah, I would say that standard is different across our business, period. You know, I kind of made this point on social media yesterday is, well, I realized the salaciousness and the possibility or the thought of a reporter and a well-respected head coach having an affair is very tantalizing for people. This is a headline that just grabs people, and a lot of people will pay attention to. But if you understand the nature, and I'm not saying all insiders are like this, so I certainly don't want to paint them with a bad brush, but we have definitely seen insiders engage in what would be pretty egregious journalistic behavior that has nothing to do with an affair, and they're fully employed. And, you know, I'm not trying to call anybody out or call anybody out or, you know, certainly necessarily throw stones. But I mean, we all saw the story where Adam Schefter appeared to be showing an entire story, you know, to a NFL general manager to get his approval. And I think in every journalism school in the country, that's considered to be egregious journalistically, to be showing sources your story and getting their approval. Like, you're not supposed to do that. And so I find some of this to be a little, hypocritical, even though I understand the nature of what this looks like to everybody. And I know that everybody's having the conversation. I saw a lot of people respond to Nancy Armour's column that she had in USA Today, you know, saying this kind of situation puts all women and their credibility at risk. And I understand the point that she was trying to make, because there is a perception that women in the business face that men don't have to deal with. And even as we're gaining the trust of sources and trying to get in with teams and players and organizations, we understand that if we're having a drink at the bar with the source, that's going to be viewed entirely differently than if, Sham Sharon does it, right? Like, we know the perceptions that we're up against. And so, I think it would be impossible to say that based off the photos alone, that automatically, it was definitely going to call Diana's credibility into question. But I do find that the reaction to this is completely one-sided. Like, she is the one who has to walk away from her job. She is the one who is facing all the questions about her credibility. She is the one that people are digging up old clips and making judgments about her marriage. It's like Diana is completely taking all the strays for this, and Mike Vrabel is just going to go back to his job, and that'll be that.
The journalism of it, though, the idea that the standard would be higher for her just as a journalist. And so it's not just gender here, it's gender and journalism. You mentioned the Adam Schefter story, and you were delicate about it. You said that's an egregious crime, but you didn't say that's a fireable offense if he had done it at the New York Times. Like, that the New York Times standard on this stuff is different from the athletic standard. Like, so I don't even know if 2 years ago, these journalism standards, Jamel, I really do want your help in walking me through some of this. ESPN chose journalism for a while, but they don't have to do it anymore. They don't have to do it for real. The insiders can do whatever they have to do to get the inside information. All the machines work together. So, like, walk me through the journalism of what's fair here. What's the correct standard? Because Diana's standard here has to be higher than everyone else's. And you can say that what she did is journalistically conflicted. That part seems obvious if it's so, and the investigation reveals that she was also lying to her employers. But maybe, like, I don't know that there can be a fair investigation here that doesn't ravage the inside of her life because of how unpleasant it must be to live the last 5 days of what her life has been.
Yeah, I don't know how an investigation can exonerate someone when the perception has really taken over the reality. So what is the proof that they would need to show the world that, no, they aren't sleeping together? Like, do they give them a lie detector test? Like, I don't even know what that looks like, beyond just taking the word of the people involved, which both of them have denied that there is anything to their relationship that is beyond professional. And I think that's a big reason why she resigned, because regardless of what the truth is, Dan, people's assumptions and their presumptions have completely taken this story to another place. And there was, and whether it's fair or not, it was going to be impossible for her to do her job after this. And so I don't know what would have been the proof that would have been able to show everybody, hey, we're just friends. Like, I don't know if that proof ever really existed.
So what do you say to the Craig Cartons of the world who rise up now and say some form of this sets women back 100 years in sports journalism as men reassert their power in all the ways we do?
What I would say, thinking about this, I think about this as I do a lot of things through the prism of race, because that's just the country and the reality that we live in. And certainly me, not just being a woman, but being a Black woman in America, I'm very accustomed to the fact that the actions of one Black person tend to define our entire race. And that gets exhausting to deal with, that we're looked at as a monolith, as collectively, as one group. Like, because whatever Diana Russini did or didn't do is supposed to somehow reflect how I do my job. And I think that's the kind of misogyny that we got to stop buying into. Is if Diana Russini crossed the line, that's on Diana Russini and her marriage and her household. That ain't got nothing to do with Jamel Hill. That has nothing to do with Elle Duncan. That has nothing to do with any of the wonderful women journalists that are out here. Sally Jenkins. That has nothing to do with any of us. That is somebody that decided to torpedo their career over an egregious journalistic mistake. And so men who say that that, oh, this is going to undermine the credibility of female journalists, probably already think that. And so, that's why I could understand some of the response to Nancy Armour's column in USA Today, where there were many female journalists that said, respectfully, Nancy, and she's definitely somebody who has created and continues a journalistic standard in our business. She's a very good columnist and a very good journalist, but I understand why other women rejected that idea. And I equally sort of reject that idea, even though I do understand that realistically, a lot of people believe that's what women journalists are there to do, that the women that are covering athletes on the sidelines, that are reporting that everybody's there to get a husband, that everybody's hooking up with everybody. And I've said this before, Dan, if I had $1 for the amount of times that people assume that women in our business are sleeping with players and coaches, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I would be on a beach in Fiji, because it is a perception that we have dealt with since the beginning of time. But I tend to think that a lot of those people who echo what Craig Carton said is like, they probably didn't have a whole lot of respect for female journalists anyway. Like, if it's that easy for you to take away the credibility of an entire group of people over the actions of one person, then that means you never respected us.
L. Duncan actually had something similar to say on the matter. I'm curious your thoughts here, because gender is absolutely playing a role here in the fallout and the reaction, and where you have Craig Cartons of the world, Clay Travises of the world, holding up Diana Russini as the face for women in all of sports, where if it were a man, it would be an isolated incident and not an indictment on men in sports. Here's what L. Duncan had to say. Hey, quick PSA, please stop saying the credibility of all women is in jeopardy, because insert the story of one woman who may or may not have done whatever headline is out there. If you're dense enough to equivocate the actions of one to all, you're probably a sexist who is looking to dismiss a woman's career trajectory anyway. This is not new, and we've all had people at some point in our career reduce us to a DEI hire, a hot girl hire, or a sleeping around hire. Old tricks, don't fall for it.
Yeah, she's right. I mean, it's women, and I think Nancy Armour made this point as well, is like, we already face an uphill battle. There are people that totally associate sports knowledge with gender. And I'm like, whether or not you have a penis has nothing to do with whether or not you know sports. And so we're already facing a credibility, argument of, women don't belong in this space. Women didn't play it, so why should they get the right to talk about it, even though the majority of men who talk about sports have never played professional sports, but their credibility isn't on the line in the same way. So we're already facing those perceptions, and especially if you're a Black woman, like me or Elle, or Taylor Rooks or Carrie Champion or others, then you're facing the combination effect of race and gender. And that's why I do reject this idea that the actions of one are supposed to completely paint us all together in a particular, way. I remember when Erin Andrews and Carissa Thompson, when they admitted that they fabricated sideline reports, and I just it just really disturbed me that they would make that kind of admission. And I fell into it too. Like, man, people already think we don't belong. Now they hear, two people who have been able to, create such wonderful careers admitting something that no journalist should ever admit, much less do. That in general makes it harder on all journalists, because journalists, regardless of, whether you're talking politics, news, or whatever, are facing a serious credibility question. But the reason we're facing these credibility questions is because of the blatant hypocrisy that we sometimes engineer. And, women, unfortunately, we are still judged collectively. And, I mentioned what Adam Schefter did is like, they're not under the same level of scrutiny. What he did isn't going to paint all male insiders with a broad brush. The fact that we know that there are insiders who are in bed with certain agents and agencies, and they will happily leak certain stories to make certain machinations happen behind the scenes. We know they do this, okay? They're not secret about it. And yet here we are questioning the credibility of all women in this space. And so that does make it a little tough, and it does make it very annoying and exhausting to deal with. Because as I said before, whatever Diana Rossini is or isn't doing ain't got nothing to do with me or the way I report or the way that I approach journalism or any woman in this business. But yet that's going to be the takeaway for a lot of people.
And we also don't know look, I don't want to make any assumptions about any of this, okay? I want to talk, Jamel, specifically about the investigation and why the New York Times would have to do it, because you just mentioned another journalism offense that if it had happened at the New York Times, if that was the standard, that would have been a fireable offense. But that's not the standard anywhere else, and no one cares about that standard anymore, Jamel. Like, you're sitting here and we're sitting here saying that the standard to begin with is right because it rains down a punishment judgment upon the participants in a way that doesn't make this a fair investigation, already has people at The Athletic and New York Times furious about how they've handled any of this, because why would The Athletic have the New York Times standard? It's a standard from 120 years ago. It's a standard that's dying.
But Dan, it is a standard that matters, though. You know, I understand what you mean. It's like, it's a broader reflection of our business. There are things happening in our business that at the beginning of my career would have got you fired pretty much everywhere. And these standards are changing because the nature of consumption and how sports fans and people in general consume news has changed. The 24-hour news cycle has changed. You know, standards about ethics or fairness or bias, I agree with you, like they don't exist in that hard and stern way that they used to during a good bulk of our careers. But there are standards that should still sort of be important to us. You know, it's not easy to be in this job and be totally unbiased and be totally objective, all those wonderful principles that we were raised in, some of which because it's not realistic, and some of which is because of the nature of the way that the business has changed. And, you know, certainly when you think about the levers of power in this country and how power is not held accountable in a certain way and it's different for everybody, you know, we have people who are in charge of making laws for our country and determining our lives of citizens who have done egregious, awful things, and they won't lose their jobs. But a reporter at the New York Times is being forced to resign in many respects because of some photos. And so I wish the standard were clear and across the board for everybody, but it's not. And it's not even in our business to do that. So it's tough to be all sanctimonious about something that has really not been the standard in our business for a while.
Jamel, I have an ethical question, a journalistic ethics question. Let's say the grainy photos that led to all this, very full of innuendo but no proof. Let's say we're not talking about infidelity here at all, and we believe the two strong denials on either side. Is it okay that Diana Rossini has a close friendship, a close non-sexual friendship with a head coach?
That's a great question, because when I was at the Detroit Free Press covering Michigan State football and basketball, I did it for 6 years. And anytime you cover a beat for a long time, you all know this, is that the people that you're covering, they become so familiar to you that's how friendships develop. That's how, personal relationships develop. And a big reason why after 6 years I asked to get off the beat was because I was worried and concerned that, like, hey, a lot of the people that I'm covering are kind of becoming like my friends. And that's not a good position to be in if you want to be a journalist who wants to be fair, that doesn't want to have compromised coverage. And so I think that's a very reasonable question to ask, because there are courtesies that you will extend a source that you're cool with that you won't extend to other people. And you do have to worry about whether or not your closeness with this person is impacting how you cover them? Are you taking it easy on them because they become a friend? Are you not giving them the same level of scrutiny that you would give to another coach? These are very fair questions, to ask, because obviously, as this story has ballooned, people have dug up clips about how Diana Rossini was talking about Mike Vrabel overall, to where it would be like, hey, you guys seem pretty chummy. Chumminess doesn't mean that you can't exercise and practice good journalism. But I think it's pretty clear with other insiders who they're chummy with. And I think it completely impacts the way that they cover their sport and that team and the league, because, at the end of the day, these are relationships that they need to do their job. And so you wonder how cozy the relationship has to be, or how close is it, and how that's impacting how you're covering your job. So I think that's a completely, fair question. And what I would tell journalism students is, no, they're not supposed to be your friends, but I understand on a human nature and how human nature works, how that happens if you're covering a person or people for a long time.
Jamel, can I get some production advice from you here? Because I want this segment to be a little bit lighter, and normally we have this imaging for you.
It's time for your friendly neighborhood race lady.
So are you gender lady now or journalism lady? Which is which are we doing right now? Gender lady or journalism lady?
It's a bit of a combo, because I'm speaking to both of these from both lenses, if you will. So today, oddly enough, wow, I'm not race lady, and I feel a little disappointed by that, Dan. My standard for you was higher, and I can't believe you actually had the nerve to have me on your fine program and not discuss a racial issue. I don't even know who you are right now.
Yeah, thank you for tolerating our nonsense. But I have found this story to be most interesting journalistically, but also where it conflicts me humanly, because these things have trouble coexisting, Jamel, right? Like, you're trying to live your life by a standard that others are not really abiding, they're intolerating, and now the country falls apart around it when you need people to be as strong as you were when you're like fighting the White House. Back when it was a more respectable institution that didn't have UFC fights on the lawn, as Dana White goes to the top of power and says, no, this one's not about sports. Kaepernick's about sports, but not this one. This one's not about sports. We're just doing it on the White House lawn. Like, You want to walk me through some of what is happening right now in America that could use some correcting?
Well, it it feels like every day we wake up to a new fire, and the world is on fire right now. It's just, and we've been living in that existence for a while, and it does impact, in some ways, your ability to be outraged by something like Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel, on that sort of broader kind of level. But I was thinking about this as I was watching CNN this morning, and yet another woman has come forward about the California representative Eric Swalwell, and it was just interesting to me that while he definitely should resign and should have walked away from Congress, that's the completely appropriate consequence for somebody in his position, though I would say jail probably is too, if any of these allegations are true. But I was just thinking about, like, wow, he resigned, he walked away, and yet we have a number of people in Congress who have equally troubling history as it relates to sexual misconduct and assault. And they are going on with their lives as if nothing has ever happened. Hello, Matt Gaetz. So it is, these double standards that we're talking about in our business, Dan, they're unfortunately a reflection of the world that we just live in, and the world that we're under, is that there are certain standards of behavior that have completely been destroyed, especially by this particular administration, to the point where I don't know if we will ever see any level of political normalcy like we have seen previously.
Jamel, when it comes to the relationships that we talk about in journalism, how do you think that they've been influenced in the last 15 years or so, where breaking news has gone from an older form of journalism through newspapers to now it needs to be instant. You need to be the first person to know, and that has really changed the way we report.
Yeah, I thought about this before. I feel like I might have been having a conversation with my husband about this because I was explaining to him, and you know, my fellow seasoned journalists would remember this. Remember when you actually thought if you had to put a correction in the paper for one of your stories that your career was over? Like that, that used to be a thing, right? That if you got a name wrong, if you got a fact wrong, and you know you were in print journalism, the paper ran a correction and they put it in some magical file that they had of you, and you really thought that your career would be over if you made a mistake, and certainly a repeat mistake. So fast forward to now where people get, whether or not people have died wrong, they get all kinds of things wrong all the time, and there's no real consequence for doing that. There's no consequence for inaccuracy. It's hard to live in that world of thinking that truth will always matter when you have a constant, steady stream of Facebook posts that are completely made up, that people buy as actual news or think that it really happened, and that they're able to monetize off literally providing the public with fake news. And so how we report, the standards of reporting have been completely shattered, because I don't know that we have those standards anymore because the consequences aren't there anymore. So it's hard to have a level of accountability in a profession that doesn't frankly have very much in certain spaces, you know, at the New York Times. But even the New York Times, if we held up a microscope to how they've reported in the last 5 years, trust me, they would not meet their own standard at all, the standard that they're trying to employ now with one of their journalists. And so it's just a really crazy time. But the hard part is accepting that this has become the new normal, is that instant means better than good and fair and accurate. It's instant. If you have it instant, that's all that matters. And I never thought I would see that day in journalism, but nevertheless, that's just where we are.
You mentioned politicians getting away with more heinous stuff. With TMZ opening a bureau in D.C., do you think that more politicians will be a little more scared about what they do?
You know, let's just say I hope so. I hope they're a little scared. They should be. You know, because frankly, they deserve to be. You know, again, talking about new norms is the fact that TMZ is probably in a better position to hold them accountable than mainstream media. I mean, I guess you would consider TMZ mainstream media, but they're probably in a much, I would trust TMZ to do that better than the Washington Post at this point. And that says a lot. Because, you know, when you want to talk about things that have drastically changed, the Post is a great example of things that have drastically changed.
Cheapened standards, like when you get into cheapened standards on this stuff, like you're skipping past the last 5 years. The New York Times and the Washington Post have fallen apart while trying to hold up a standard that doesn't pass measure when fake news can undercut it and Bezos can take over the Washington Post and ruin it.
Yeah. I mean, Dan, it's like when the financial model of our business changed, so much changed with it. I mean, newspapers used to be owned by families as opposed to, you know, sort of trillionaires with no sense of ethical anything. And this isn't to say that, you know, I don't want to romanticize what journalism was. It certainly wasn't perfect. There's certainly missteps and mistakes that happen all the time. But because we have generally put media in the hands of so few people, we should not be surprised at the apocalypse that has become journalism. Because instead of holding the power to account, we allowed the power to take over our business. And because it has, there aren't any journalistic standards anymore. And the fact that it doesn't really seem to bother not just the journalists, but I don't know that it bothers the public. The public wants accountability of people in power, but yet they've allowed us to relax the standards in a way so that would never happen. And I'm not saying that it's all on the public, But, our business is contaminated. It's just no way about it. But the thing is, we've been peeing in the pool so long, Dan, that I think we just have to get used to the stench. And I don't think the pee is coming out of the pool, so to speak.
Yeah, I don't think people want accountability across the board. I think they love owning the libs. They love holding people accountable that they disagree with. Roy raised an interesting question as to whether or not this changes the behavior of politicians. Probably not, but it probably changes the behavior that they display towards their staffers and their interns that all of a sudden are very happy TMZ is opening up a bureau in D.C. because they adhere to a totally different standard and can pay for stories. Dan led this segment off by calling it the Vrabel story, and I got to admit, I chuckled a little bit because I hadn't heard it positioned that way. This has always been called the Rossini story, and Clay Travis thought he was doing something revelatory by putting out a thread of, mansplaining why it's different for Vrabel than it is for Rossini. Basically, football coach win football, reporter reports. We get that, but when you see Twitter or Threads or Instagram, the memes are at Diana's expense. Not very many at Vrabel's expense. And I know that gender dynamics are playing a role here, but Mike Vrabel is a very successful head coach. He went to a Super Bowl, and he's not really suffering this kind of same social media indignity, the same public shaming. Why is that?
Well, I think that another question to be asked along those same lines is Mike Vrabel not even being held to a standard that a player would be held to. Because what is the number one thing that football coaches always tell their players, and what Vrabel has told his players themselves, is don't create the dreaded D word, distractions. And this is a pretty big one, I would say. But when Vrabel, whenever he decides to appear at a podium and face journalists, I'd be really curious as to whether or not he's even asked about this. And I know that seems crazy to say, but when you think about how quickly our news cycle changes, we may not even see Vrabel again until training camp starts in terms of him having to answer questions to reporters, or maybe, I guess the draft hasn't happened yet. So maybe then, maybe. And, he's not being held to the same standard in terms of nobody's poking into Mike Vrabel's marriage and figuring out if he's a good husband, but everybody has so much to say about whether or not Diana Rossini is being a good wife. It's he's not under the same microscope because, frankly, it is at the root of it. A lot of it has to deal with misogyny. You have so many people saying that Diana Rossini is embarrassing her husband. She embarrassed her husband. Ain't nobody saying that about Mike Vrabel. If she's embarrassing her husband, what is he doing with his wife? He would be embarrassing his wife, right? Okay. That's also not okay. But it seems to be easier to take cheap shots at Diana Rossini and put her marriage under a microscope than it is when it comes to, to Mike Vrabel. It's they have to, I didn't even know what Diana's husband did. Now I know everything about this man, unforced. And it's so y'all have gone on the internet, found out who this man is, found out what he's done for a living. And I couldn't tell you what Mike Vrabel's wife looks like. I don't even know her name. And so it is much easier, and it is low-hanging fruit to take off on women, and especially considering there are double standards when it comes to infidelity in general. It's that, we've always positioned that men have some natural right to infidelity because they just can't help themselves. But with women, the idea of a woman stepping out on her man and she's, committing, the apocalypse, it's they treat it like a war crime. It's because she's a woman and how dare she have the nerve to cheat on her husband. So yeah, it is everything, as I said earlier in this conversation, is completely one-sided.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how this is playing out because I see social media tiles on lifestyle IGs, right? And entertainment magazines. And when we look at this, Mike Vrabel is way more famous than Diana Rossini. You have to follow sports to know who Diana Rossini is. Whereas Mike Vrabel just played in the biggest game in America. He was the head coach of the New England Patriots. He is way more famous. But lifestyle brands, Diana's on the tile. People are being introduced to Diana via this story, and Mike Vrabel is not in any of this, despite being way more famous.
Do I have this wrong? I thought the photographer, Jamel, didn't know that it was Diana Rossini that would make this story. The photographer... this was a Vrabel story.
Yes.
Whatever. And then someone paid for the photos. So I don't know, in the salacious parts of this, wherever people are gossiping about private investigators and everything else, you just skip past the idea. This wasn't news. This was photos that were paid for. The standard is supposed to be you don't pay for it. Hell, I just got rejected by that center fielder who had the ball bounce off his forehead and go over the fence because he wanted to be paid for an interview. And you don't pay
How much?
for. I don't know. I got to ask. I can't wait.
I got 5 on it.
I can't wait to ask because I'm like, I'll pay for that. I want
$100, $200.
I want the exclusive interview with the kid who had the ball go off his forehead. But these photos were paid for, and I think Michael Holley's the only journalist in Boston saying, "Hey, Vrabel's got to answer for some of this," and will he have to?
Well, that's a really good question because I don't know that he will. And, because that brings about, if that is the case about shopping the photos because this is about Mike Vrabel, then of course the next natural question you want to know is, because look, I don't know this for a fact, but it looks like he was being followed. And then that's the other question is like, why would Mike Vrabel be being followed of all people? And for what? And for who? And so, there are bigger questions here that are not being asked in terms of like, who would have it in for Mike Vrabel to the point that they're shopping photos of him and felt like he was worthy of being followed? Who? So, yeah, I think he's got a lot of questions to answer. And even looking at, Greg asked the question earlier about, sort of personal relationships that reporters establish. If you're Bob Kraft, don't you also have a question of why are you so chummy with this reporter and what have you been telling her that possibly could have been undermining what we're trying to do here? Because football, you all know this, is that football coaches and organizations operate with a level of secrecy like they're the Pentagon. So you also have a football coach whose ethics should be questioned beyond just the whole marriage part of it. Is it a good idea for a football coach to be this friendly with a reporter, period?
Jamel, thank you for the time. You can watch new episodes of Flagrant and Funny with Jamel and her longtime friend, Carrie Champion. Spolitics is live on her YouTube channel. It's Jamel. It's at It's Jamel Hill. Jeremy, throughout that segment, I saw you guys popcorning back there, riding microphones and everything else. Is it because that somebody is bulldozing or pile driving again, and you guys are dancing back there?
It's not so bad today, but we're a little scarred from the previous days. I am encouraged, though. I've seen some clips from WFAN, and they're complaining, like, what's all this construction over here? So it's good to know we're not alone here in the big time.
Is it the Trump Library? Is that what's being built?
No, that has not been built.
That's still a parking lot.
Are you guys sure that that's not something that's not the one that stands in front of Freedom Tower, that it's not being built right now?
I am positive, yes.
There's cars parking there
to
right
keep
now.
us from free speech, to keep us from uncensored.
No, I think it's now. It's still parking lot.
The reverberations of that crowd you sent me to cover yesterday out in front of the Kaseya Center.
It was electric.
All right, this was very disappointing. We didn't do enough race.
Your friendly neighborhood race
No,
lady.
it was gender lady. It was journalism lady. It was not race lady.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't get to see what this would be like if it were a black coach. Maybe the coach gets put on the social media tiles a little bit more. I'm sure if Dan has one regret, it's that he didn't get to view this through the prism of race too.
Sharon Moore did get a lot of attention.
Sure did. Not by this show.
Sure did.
We didn't really know what to do with that, actually.
Oddly enough.
Yeah, we talked about it that day, but it was like a Friday.
And then it got to Atlanta too, and into their coaching staff. And yeah, we didn't talk about any of that.
Yeah.
But that story wasn't even supposed to be about Rossini. That story was supposed to be about Vrabel. It only became that.
He just won with Jeremy Tashi.
Because Jeremy was an alleged journalist last night.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly. Jeremy, who is an up-and-comer in the broadcasting game and is someone who has now journalistic credentials around, literal credentials around the Heat and the Marlins. Yesterday he was hosting, and this is one of the great things, Stugotz, this time of year. We get it so infrequently around here in South Florida. But South Florida has always done this well. The rest of the country always makes fun of, you guys don't care about that sports that much. You're bandwagon people. All right. Many of us are. Not everyone is. The loyalists are super loyal. But Miami does the bandwagon better than anybody. Miami does. Everyone now show up for the party. And so you have, stunningly, a hockey arena in the Everglades. Like surrounded by airboats and alligators, filled with people to do the wave, watching the game on television. And at the Heat, across the street from us last night, Jeremy Tessier is watching the end of that game with a lot of people who are excited. And Stugotz, I'm getting a lot of this. Jimmy was out of bounds, and it ended up being a 3. That was a goaltend ref culture win. Okay, whatever. Tell it to the people who were yelling and screaming around Jeremy.
How about this? 1-1, we're coming home.
Okay, who's we?
Yeah, I mean, I took the Heat in 5. Anyone else?
He's right.
All right, the Knicks are watching this like everybody
2
else.
rounds ago.
It was a long time ago, understandably. Here's Jeremy Tessier not being a journalist while covering, again, an arena filled with people, but no players or athletes were there.
You're catching us right now as the Miami Heat have just won Game 2 of the NBA Finals. You can see that this crowd here is hoisting babies into the air. This crowd is ready from the moment this game started, and it has continued here as the Miami Heat have just upset the Denver Nuggets. We've got fans going crazy. We're high-fiving. Everybody's ready for an unbelievable night right here in Miami. The Kaseya Center was ready for a great night from the jump, as this energy around the entire lower bowl was electric from the moment this game started until the moment it ended. As we pan out to the rest of the crowd, you can see the entire lower bowl going absolutely crazy to end this game. The Miami Heat have just won it as Jamal Murray's shot has not gone in. I cannot believe what I've witnessed around me. There were moments in the fourth quarter where I couldn't hear myself think. I don't even know if you can hear me on the microphone. What a night at the Kaseya Center as the Miami Heat take their first game, their first win in Denver, and I know that this crowd right here is ready for an unbelievable party Wednesday night, Game 3 here in the Heat's house. Guys, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Oh, my gosh. Jeremy Tessier doing that on 1 tank of oxygen.
Not a single breath taken. He was like one of those free divers that go down for 20 minutes at the bottom of the ocean. It was a record. And if you're listening just by audio and not watching, what you didn't see in that noise is there were 11 actual babies tossed in the air. Just infants.
Seems reckless.
It does. But hey, it's Game 2.
Right.
Wait till Game 7 of this thing.
Right.
11 babies, a fetus.
It's not going 7. I said 5. I mean,
That's right.
You did mention that.
Yeah.
The energy was actually insane. I don't remember any of that. I feel like I blacked out as that happened. It sounded like I was losing my voice. I wasn't losing my voice. I literally was just unhinged. I don't remember it. It was really amazing.
You blacked out. Excellent work by you, blacking out as a impartial observer of games.
Well, you can't be impartial if you're holding a microphone that says Heat TV.
My job
Right.
is sales
and
that
high-fiving.
You're
people.
emceeing.
Yeah.
Emceeing is really sales.
I'm
right.
there.
Yeah.
I'm there to make sure everybody's ready to be at games 3 and 4. I'm there to make sure that everybody is ready to be at the road rally. Bally Sports, the heart of the fan.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Would the Zeller minutes look the same if you replaced him with a newborn giraffe?
Or that newborn baby that was being hoisted into the air.
The giraffe would just be more distracting. I feel like we'd have more success.
No, Zeller's plenty distracting.
Porter
He's right
Jr.
now.
would be like, why is there a giraffe on the court?
No. Listen to me. Zeller is a strong human being. He is a big human being. And when he starts balling around there.
I can't take my eyes off of him.
Well, nobody can. Nobody can. Jokic, you're hoping to distract Jokic. It's dangerous. It's like having a wrecking ball just move through the court, but it's like on a hinge that's not safe, and it's just swinging through, and you got to be careful because every once in a while they'll put one in with an offensive rebound, but everyone be careful because it might fly into the stands. The Zeller minutes are amazing. Yeah. They're a joy to watch.
Oh. Ever since Tony pointed it out, those black shoes, they don't
it's
help.
The hair or lack of hair too. It's kind of disturbing.
No, it's also the mask, or just again. I've mentioned that it should be a retainer, a wire that runs outside of his mouth. It's just
like
all
ear to ear
that could impale someone.
And if not for a Theragun, that could be Dwayne Dedman.
Jeremy becomes Jeremy.
Okay, so we got a bear here stumbling around. You see that mirror to the left? He's like, oh, this is weird. There's a lot of weird stuff here. Oh, my God. I just saw myself. Ah! He's like, get out of here. So that's how I imagine a bear would react if they saw Jeremy in the woods.
But that's what they would do to me.
It's really screwed up to do that to a bear, honestly. He's just like not expecting, just like having a nice stroll.
Right.
And we'll watch it one more time. This is good fun. Good, clean fun right here.
It really is.
He's just like, oh, my God.
And then he's going,
he was definitely
what a good-looking bear.
Definitely scarred from that for a few months.
Who puts a mirror in the woods?
It's weird.
That's my question.
How did it get there?
It was probably for the internet video. They probably did that on purpose.
Yeah, but you're messing with bears. I mean,
it's not right.
Leave the bear alone.
Who would do something for the internet visually like that with a bear?
Imagine that.
What are the chances there was a camera right in front of it, too? Jeez. Small world.
Greg, it was interesting. A bunch of people agreed. Now, you had a weekend where the Eagles lost, the Niners lost, so no more undefeated teams. 72 Dolphins could celebrate. But a lot of people saying the Dolphins were the best team in the NFL through 6 weeks. And so I know you're impressed with the offense. Hawk was in here yesterday, Andrew Hawkins, Tomahawk Podcast. He said that Tyreek Hill is the best player, non-quarterback division, in the NFL. And I agree with him. The Dolphins are overwhelming. I'm not certain they're not the best team in the NFL right now, Greg.
I think they are at this minute. They're an underdog in Philadelphia, but only by 2.5 points, which is very interesting. Definitely they have the best offense. I think it's the best offense in Dolphins history. And when I write that, I get a lot of criticism. Too soon. What about this? What about that? Look, the Dolphins won Super Bowls with Larry Zonka because they ran the ball better than anybody and barely passed. They were as exciting as ever and broke NFL records with Dan Marino because they passed the ball like nobody else, but they didn't have a great... This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
I found myself. Where's Dan?
Dan had personal stuff.
Okay.
As he mentioned at the top of the show.
Okay, very good.
Of many shows.
Okay. I just wasn't sure. All right, so Dan stepped out. All right, very good. So, I'm the game ends last night, and I found myself grateful. How could I have been grateful? I'm a huge Heat fan, right? It's the team of my childhood. Their season just ended.
You get to dunk on Jeremy.
That could be anything.
I actually felt validated by last night in a weird way.
We're talking about
how we can go to where you are.
We're
before
talking about
that.
me first.
Yeah, we're talking about him.
I was
not dunk on me, Dick.
Grateful at the end of the game last night. I was grateful that the way things went down last night. LaMelo Ball injuring Bam on purpose, the referee looking right at it and refusing to call anything. LaMelo, clear travel at the end of the third quarter. They get 3 points out of it. LaMelo, clear travel the second to last possession, where we lost the feed.
Yeah, you're saying clear travel. I don't know if it was a clear travel.
We were
because
told it was.
Ridiculous that we lost the feed in that moment.
Well, the second one is a clear travel.
And when we came back to the feed, it wasn't just the travel, which we can all assume he probably did because we watched him.
Yeah.
But also, they came back saying, and it was probably a backcourt.
Okay, so I'll address the backcourt real quick. When they did show the replay, I'm not willing to sit here and yell about the backcourt because I don't think his heel touched the line. But again, They took 3 points away from us when they said Max Strus he'll hit the line, you know?
They took him away 10 minutes later.
Yeah, very similar.
Which is something that you see in the NBA all the time.
Very similar. But I'm not willing to scream about that because I don't think his heel came on the half-court line. But he definitely did travel on the ensuing layup once they showed us the replay because, you know, the screen went to technical difficulties. My goodness. I mean, the first year that they got the streaming, they're losing playoff games with the game on the line. Come on, get it together. Anyway, so the things that LaMelo Ball in particular was allowed to get away with, I was grateful, Greg, because if this was a Heat team that's like a contender and our season ends with all of that going on, I mean, I'm jumping out the window.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even, like I'm being serious, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. I would have been out of my mind because, you know, as fans, we're just sitting here, there's nothing we can do. There's obviously nothing Eric Spoelstra can do. I would have been out. I wouldn't have been able to handle it if that's how the Heat season ended, if it was a season with expectation.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you. That's probably one of the reasons why I'm not on the bandwagon railing about what happened to Bam and blaming the loss on that, because this just felt like a Heat season that sort of needed to end. I mean, it's been such a forgettable season on top of the way they went out of the playoffs in historic fashion last year. To have this disappointing season, it's just I'll take the bump from 4 to 7% on the top 4 pick. I'll take moving up a few spots in the main draft. Just let's think about next year. Better yet, let's think about this summer. And I do think if they can still get Giannis, that they should. Although
that'd be a good ad for them, you think?
That may not be Mike says he doesn't think it'll help. I mean, I'm sure others.
Because it's not. There's still more team that needs to be surrounding Giannis than more than just Giannis.
Yes. Well, before I even argue that, because I can feel Jeremy's eyes rolling. And Jeremy started this segment by saying he came away encouraged. I don't get that. I'd like to know. No, let's have an honest discourse, and I'm not going to do the thing. Look, I'm back to back to back.
I might cut you off.
So go ahead. Tell me why you were encouraged by last night.
Validated. Not encouraged about the roster. Where I felt validated, it wasn't about the ceiling of the team, whether they'd have success. We can all agree at this point, now that they lost, cool that they have higher draft odds. Congratulations. I look forward to our watch party on, May 10th? So, on Mother's Day?
Big day.
So, where I felt sort of validated in my feeling of, hey, it's fun to watch your team try to win throughout the year, and tanking kind of stinks, is last night, we all lived and died by all of these emotions of the game. Your star player goes out injured. You watch your team, try to fight and claw their way into a game they had no business being in. There's all this back and forth at the end. It's a game with stakes that has incredible entertainment value that comes down to the wire. And we just experienced that one game in this season that is better for those experiences than what 10 to 12 other fan bases will get over the course of about 3 years.
Oh, but it's fleeting. I mean, it was 2 hours, whatever.
But isn't that what sports is about? Isn't sports, as a fan, as an organization, championship or bust, win or misery. But as a fan, what you're looking for is to feel those things that sports can make you feel. And for me, I'm watching last night with my fan hat on, because the regional broadcasts are done for the year. I could just watch this through the perspective of, hey, I want my team to win, and that's it. And I'm enjoying watching this incredible basketball game that my team is playing in.
Okay.
And I'm not supposed to. But isn't that the point? Aren't we?
I think I would have enjoyed it if the Bulls were playing.
But isn't it great to be able to feel the emotions that come with it? Great basketball game is one thing. To be able to have your team be a part of it with stakes involved is another. And
I don't know, man. I didn't have the emotions last night. I don't wanted the Heat to win. It was annoying that my son was sitting next to me rooting for them to lose, but I wanted the Heat to win.
Smart kid that way.
And, that did not feel the same way as, the playoffs in 2023.
Yeah, but that's a different standard. What I'm talking about is that game is the best thing a Jazz fan would have over the course of 5 years, that a Grizzlies fan would have over the course of 5 years.
I'm glad that's not our team.
All these franchises. That's my point. My point is, we've spent all year talking about how this franchise.
But if the Jazz get a cuff, I'd rather be the Jazz.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah,
because you
I
spent
would.
5 years in misery. My point
I've spent
is that
3 years in misery.
Watching your team compete year after year and have moments. We talked about several throughout the year where you could get excited.
You call
yes,
this competing.
You're
for a
trying to
play-in.
win games.
For a play-in, you call this competing. I don't call this competing.
I'm not saying competing for the championship.
It's been
in that
3 years
respect.
of misery.
They're the 10th seed.
It's been 3 years
I
of
know.
misery.
That's what I'm saying is I understand this team was not competing for a championship. I get that. There came a point in the season where you realize, oh, that's not going to be a championship team. And it was probably before the season. Because last year they had to discard their best player, and this was always going to be a transition year to this upcoming offseason. But the fact that in that transition year, you don't just have to turn off your television and get absolutely zero entertainment value throughout the season, that there can be all sorts of different moments with great games, and then one last night where there's actual stakes on the line.
If last night was stakes,
great.
it was like a sirloin.
That's fine. My point would be that sirloin is
like
better than
the
nothing.
Last cut that you choose.
Sirloin's a pretty low end cut.
Stew meat.
It was a hamburger steak.
What's the order?
Sure, like a hanger steak.
If the price is not an option, you're at a great steakhouse, all right? You're at Ruth's Chris, you're at Prime.
I think sirloin is the lowest end they would have there. Like, there are other restaurants that might have a lower end, but I feel like a sirloin.
I like a fat cap on my steak, so I'm going to go like tomahawk. I'm going to go like a New York.
But you're going
strip,
tomahawk.
ribeye.
I want low end. What are
No,
the
but he's
worst?
asking about high end.
I'm asking start at high end.
Okay.
If price is not an option, again, Smith and
I'd
Walensky.
say like Japanese Wagyu would probably be the top, and it's like
Very
$350.
That's
for
NBA
like a
Finals. That's
5
NBA
ounce steak.
Finals.
But in
Yeah,
terms
New
of
York strip.
In terms of cut, though, I think it's the filet mignon or the ribeye.
See, that's interesting that you mentioned the filet mignon because I very famously told the story last year on my college football campus tour of the ESPN radio that I got made fun of. All right, that it's a very feminine cut. The filet mignon. I love a filet mignon.
It is a dainty cut.
And Amber Wilson told me it's a very effeminate cut of meat that I just ordered.
It is.
I never get
That's the steak I order.
All right.
So
I'd like to tackle what I think Jeremy was trying to say, which is that extra game wasn't that fun. You had that much more fun than the Utah Jazz fan because the Utah Jazz fan at no point did they have moments like, hey, we're an attractive destination for this superstar because they were always rebuilding. But I don't think the gulf in our experience with this season and playing that play-in and losing it is the same amount of gulf that we'll have. The difference between me watching Darius Acuff highlights on YouTube and Haynes Steinbach is a much wider gulf than the experience that the Utah Jazz fan had with the Miami Heat fan. And that's the angle I want to take right now, which is in watching this season, especially the latter end where the Miami Heat historically start putting it together and start being a team that you don't want to play in the playoffs and watch it go the opposite direction and seeing what they look like without Bam. All right, let's see what these pieces can do. We have 2 All-Stars still on the court. Let's see what we can do. Let's see who here out of these 2 teams would be positioned better to get a Giannis. I watched that game and understanding that acquiring Giannis would take some capital, some draft capital, and some rotational pieces and even, starting pieces. I don't think this team is a Giannis away. And I think also I was in on Giannis for this year. Giannis is now going to be a year older. Giannis has a big body and he has some liabilities in his game. He has some flaws in his game. My whole perspective is, no, Giannis, you blew it. I don't want you anymore. And also these last 3 years, Pat, we're not going to do it your way anymore because the whole motivation about getting Giannis is we got to capitalize on this window right now. We got to do this right now. We have Pat Riley over there, the Godfather. We have to build this way because that's the way that the Miami Heat have always built. No, that's not how the Miami Heat have always built. They got the luxury of building that way because they had Dwayne Wade on their roster. They had a superstar already on their roster that you knew was all elite. They're not there yet. We saw what this team did with a healthy Bam Adebayo. I think we all should probably evaluate Pat's position in all of this. Hey, let's chase Giannis because that's how we get right back in the title picture. I don't think I want to rebuild that way. I don't think we're a Giannis away. I'd rather do it the right way, the conventional way. If I'm going to put together a package to get a superstar, I'd rather put together a package to get Darius Acuff than Giannis Antetokounmpo because let me tell you something, 2 years from now, I think most teams would rather have Acuff than Antetokounmpo. And I don't think we got a 2-year window here. I say let's pull our draft capital in a really good NBA draft and try to get an absolute superstar if we don't get lucky in the lottery.
I do think I don't agree with everything you're saying, but I do think it's interesting the idea of, okay, let's say that Giannis Antetokounmpo has another 2 years, like you're saying, of being a superstar. How much does it actually matter then to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo when you look at what's going on in Oklahoma City and they're not slowing down over the next 2 years?
Right.
You look at San Antonio, they're certainly not slowing down over the next 2 years. So does it even make sense to trade away young players, a bunch of draft picks for, what's a 2? I'll even give you a 3rd-year window if you want with Giannis at a superstar level if you don't actually believe it makes you better than those 2 teams that I just mentioned.
I mean, we've been criticizing Pat Riley for a few years now for being unable to boat the whale. Giannis is still a whale, in my view, and will be for another 3 years. And that he creates the new window if you get him. So I'm not going to change my opinion. They need Giannis. They need something major. They lack a superstar. They've got 3 20-point scorers, 3 all-stars, but no superstar.
They've got 2 all-stars, really, because one of them, 2 of them you can't play at the same time. You can't play defense.
That's true.
By the way,
half and half.
By the way, I don't even think the superstar, Jeremy and I actually have consensus on this. I think we're targeting the wrong superstar. I'd rather go after Kawhi, and I know Kawhi has had his injuries, but I think Kawhi's got
I think they're going to
games.
trade him.
He's got aspects to his game that I can count on him for a larger window. And look, if you want to tell me the plan is Kawhi and Giannis, I'm curious to see how that happens when we haven't had enough to simply get Giannis. But I'm with you. But Giannis alone, this team is not a Giannis away.
Really quick, I want to say something because we've seen this before with the Charlotte Hornets and what happened to the Miami Heat. If the Miami Heat trade for Kawhi Leonard and that nothing Adam Silver decides to drop the hammer on Kawhi Leonard in a Miami Heat uniform, we got problems. We got big problems.
Yeah,
okay? And I'm going to get out in front of it, and I'm going to say, Adam Silver, you better not do it. I'm going to zigzag on you. Do not do it. I'm telling you, don't do it.
That would really be something.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I can't imagine, yeah.
I think
What
we'd have
would
to
you do?
kill Pablo.
For sure.
I'm not going to say what I would do into a microphone, Tony. You think I'm an idiot? I'm not going to say it into a microphone and on a camera what I would do. I would never incriminate myself. Why would you ask me to do that?
So you'd kill Pablo personally?
Let's for a moment, that's an interesting hypothetical, but let's for a moment try to ignore the Pat Riley in the room.
Pat Riley.
We just saw an entire season of Bam Adebayo playing pretty good ball. I mean, 83 points.
It's weird. We forget the stretch of the season where it's like, yo, Bam, why are you bad now?
Yeah, that's crazy
There
how
was a
good he
stretch
was
of that.
considering the start of the season.
It's like, you're a bad player now.
But,
what happened?
But, like, the Miami Heat were pretty healthy this year. And yet,
Hero missed half
that's
the
not,
season.
yeah, that's not true.
all right, well, historically, we go on deep runs when Hero's out. So I don't understand how Tyler Hero's still here. I really, it's confusing to me. But he can't be on the court with Norm Powell. He's very clearly not as attractive a piece to any of these teams. By the way, Portland kind of got it right. I mean, Advia went for 2 first-round draft picks, and he's an absolute superstar, bona fide.
Top Jew.
He was
Best Jew
incredible.
basketball player ever?
If we're
top 2,
if we're the Pat Riley in the room is we're constantly worried about his window and his approach to talent acquisition. Most NBA fans would look at this roster, say, Bam's probably somebody that you flip because you know what your ceiling is when Bam's your best player. You have some pieces here that can get you some more draft capital, and man, this is a good NBA
But Mike,
draft.
you know what your ceiling is when Bam's your 2nd or 3rd best player also.
Yes, true. Even though that was a couple of years ago, but I think his game's aging gracefully, clearly. He's somehow improved.
I don't agree with that part that you know what your ceiling is when Bam is your 2nd or 3rd best player. I mean, the ceiling is 2 NBA Finals appearances and a Game 7 in the East Finals. Pretty good ceiling.
Right,
like,
that's a
you're
good
right,
ceiling.
You're right on the cusp. It's
pretty
That's what I'm saying.
It's
though.
pretty
Yeah,
good ceiling.
okay.
And
When he's your 2nd player, that's
Okay,
your
you were saying
defensive
it's not
role.
positive.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's
yes,
saying
yes,
that.
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, although, like, with him and Jimmy Butler, he got hurt, unfortunately, in that bubble. And their ceiling might have been they were NBA champions that year. We were always saying that we needed a player that was better than Jimmy Butler while conceding that Jimmy Butler was better than Bam Adebayo. Right. What I'm saying is, if you're looking at this impartially, most people would say is thinking that you got the juice to get a superstar going to put you in the title mix in the East. You got to climb over 10 teams. I think most people would look at this conventionally and say, why don't you take a look at trading Bam? Why don't you take a look at building through what is an exceptional draft. What I'm willing to do is see how this lottery shakes out. I am not married to the idea of just like going in and getting the whale again. I'm probably a little scarred by us missing all the time and having seasons like this, no doubt. And trust me, I'm a Miami Heat fan. I truly want to believe in the Kawhi, Giannis, pie in the sky scenario. I do. And if that's a real possibility, go for it. Gangbusters. It's Pat Riley. It's a Godfather. It's what we do. But I think you look at this draft, that might not be the best route, because I don't think that going down that route guarantees you much more than a 4 seed.
I think also when we look at this, though, no matter how deep the draft is, like look at every draft over the last decade, those top 4 or 5 picks, even there, you got a 50-50 shot of that guy being a good NBA player. There's a lot of misses. And so when you can go get a guarantee, even if it's a 2 or 3 year window of Giannis at whatever his peak is, or a 2 or 3 year window of Kawhi Leonard, who actually ironically played some of the best basketball of his career.
He played his best season this year.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you go get one of those guys to pair with the guy that we mentioned yesterday in terms of on-off numbers, was literally the best player in the Eastern Conference in terms of his impact when he's on the floor, you pair him with one other superstar and you build whatever the rest of the roster needs to be. The issue that the Heat had this year is a roster built around Bam that was not like talented enough, nor was it built in terms of the depth positionally where you need it. Were they good enough on defense to help him? He anchored them for 65, 70 games there to a top 5 defense before they completely fell apart at the end. His impact on the floor, if he can be your number 2 option offensively and your anchor defensively, paired with a guy, either of those guys, by the way, whose ceiling outside of playoff performance is higher than what Jimmy Butler's was as a regular season player, you instantly forget what the rest of your roster looks like. You become, at the worst, that 5th team in the Eastern Conference just simply based off having those guys, and what you build around them becomes upside from there.
My worry on the fit of X's and O's with Giannis and Bam, like, is that something that we know will work? Right?
I think what you've seen with Bam this year with his 3-point shot and the way that evolved, he's also comfortable working off the
he's not
ball.
going to play 5 out, like be the guy who's like the stretch 5.
I
Like,
mean,
that's
if you watched what he did for a good portion of this season, like
that's what they're going to be doing if they eventually go to Khalil Ware in the starting lineup.
Only late in the year was Bam like handling the ball and just trying to get his. Most of this season, and by the way, once he started playing well, you had a ton of possessions where he was starting in the corner and then being a playmaker from there, either as a shooter or as a playmaker. So I do think that like Giannis or Kawhi or whoever would be the like ball dominant player.
Kawhi would be an interesting fit.
Yeah, and I think Giannis
feel clogged with Giannis.
And also we have to start asking ourselves like, are we the place that these superstars want to go?
I do think that, like,
because if I'm watching those 2 teams, Charlotte and Miami, I think Charlotte is probably, even though it's in Charlotte, but in a vacuum, Charlotte's got more to give and is probably more of an attractive destination to compete right now.
I think that most players really, really like and respect what Bam is as your, if you want to call him your Robin.
Not a lot of respect from LaMelo Ball.
Well, that's a whole other conversation. But if you look at like Giannis or Kawhi, and you look at, let's just be real, Miami as what it is, and Eric Spoelstra, who's still the most respected coach in this game, if I'm looking here, I'm saying, yeah, I might want to go there. I'm not saying it's going to happen. We have no idea what's going to happen. Maybe the Heat get lottery luck, and it changes their entire perspective of what they want to do.
Would you say I'm sorry at that point? Would you say sorry?
Absolutely not.
The Heat have never.
By the way, I hope it happens.
The Heat have never won the draft lottery.
They would have won it last year.
Be a nice. All right.
No, they wouldn't.
It'd be nice if it happened for the first time this year. It really was a perfect way for the season to end last night with the Hornets getting away with all of the bullshit with LaMelo Ball and the travels and the foul. And that, of course, was preceded by the Hornets getting away with scamming the Miami Heat in the Terry Rozier trade. Like, it really was the exclamation point on this season that it was the Hornets who put an end to it. Before we wrap up last night's game, this should make all Heat fans feel better, though. So LaMelo Ball, even though the referee is looking right at it, does not call anything on the floor. They don't review anything. Bam misses the rest of the game. Away we go. So that's one of the times that, all right, there's going to be a reporter, there's going to be a pool reporter who then goes and talks to the head official after the game. So the head official was Zach Zarba, who was not the official who was standing right there, very clearly looking at the play, but Zach Zarba is the crew chief. And so this is from Rod Boone. He covers the Hornets for the Charlotte Observer. He was the pool reporter, and he asks Zach Zarba, why was the play not reviewed in real time? Zarba responds with, the play wasn't whistled in real time. Play continued with a fast break, and because play wasn't stopped immediately and there was no whistle on the play, the window to review the play was closed. Play was stopped after a change of possession and then a timeout. So by rule, our window to review that play then is closed. So let me get this straight before I go on to the next questions from the pool reporter. I mean, you have people in Secaucus watching the game. It's literally the only game going on, and it's a do-or-die game. So because play continued, the official clearly missed the call. Because play continued, we cannot go back and look at an extremely consequential play where the star player for one team is now injured and out for the game. That's what they're explaining to me. We can't use common sense and go back and look at a play. That's what I have to believe.
It makes zero sense to me. I don't understand why that's the rule. Maybe that rule will change because I've never really seen this play out this way, right? Like, I never do you have what is clearly and obviously a flagrant foul not called as a foul to begin with.
And I'll tell you what, everyone to a man, Greg, it's not even like, oh, do you think he should have been thrown out? I don't think he should have been thrown out. Maybe technical. Like, everyone I've heard talk about it says he should have been thrown out the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, when Spo says that, and that's a little bit uncharacteristic for him, when Spo says that, it's going to become a newsworthy thing, and Le Batard's on that bandwagon. Most everybody is.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, shenanigans, skullduggery. But
is it tomfoolery, though?
Hijinks.
I'm going to go with hijinks.
So not tomfoolery.
Yeah,
what would
not quite.
tomfoolery be?
I think tomfoolery is something a little less serious, a little more jocular, a little, smirky.
Kind of talking trash more so than
maybe they're dancing when they do it because you just started dancing.
Tomfoolery goes, a little
grab ass.
Yeah, a little noogie on the head.
A noogie.
Yeah.
So you call it noogie, not noogie. Noogie.
I don't know. How's it spelled?
I don't know actually, but I think it's a noogie.
Yeah, noogie.
It's double O, right?
Yeah.
Noogie.
That's noogie,
not a Y. Okay.
I don't think so.
You
So the
go
next question.
N-double-O-G-Y.
Yeah.
So the next question from the pool reporter to crew chief Zach Zarba. Was it later reviewed by the officiating crew in the locker room or by the replay center? Zarba responds with, our crew. We review all our plays, so we reviewed the play at halftime. All right, take that for what you will. And the final question, this is what's really going to make Heat fans feel good, all right? Because justice may very well be served. The question, should it have risen to the level of a flagrant foul if reviewed? Zarba, at this point, that goes to league operations, and they'll make a determination on that in the coming days. So they will make that determination and go from there. So rest easy, Heat fans. Rest easy. In the next couple days, the league may very well hand out that punishment to LaMelo Ball. They will very possibly suspend him for Friday's game against the loser of Orlando and Philadelphia tonight. So rather than it benefit the Heat, it will benefit the loser of tonight's game, as LaMelo Ball will be suspended, and justice will be served, and everyone in Heat Nation will feel good. What a stupid system.
Everybody in Heat Nation would feel more cheated than they do now. What do you mean feel good?
That's sarcasm, Cody. Come on now. No one's going to feel good.
Nobody.
It's ass backwards.
Pardon me.
Can you imagine the Magic lose tonight, and then the Magic get to face the Hornets without LaMelo Ball? What about the Heat? What about the Heat?
You know what they should do? Give us a couple percentage points on the lottery. Bump it from, like, instead of 4 to 7, make it like 10 to 13.
Pity points.
So stupid.
Would you rather have it flip to a win last night or get 3 extra percentage points?
No, I'm fine with them having lost last night because I know what's best for the team.
It's fine.
I am.
Right. It was the perfect old Yeller game.
But
you
I
have
don't like
fun,
I don't
one
like
last
the
game.
injustice. That's the part
You
I
even
don't
get
like.
to hang your hat. your nice hat, asshole.
Did old
on the fact that something corrupt happened.
Did Old Yeller have a fun last day?
No, I'm saying like it's the last day. Old Yeller doesn't know what's happening, but you go out and play fetch with him one last time, right, Greg?
Yeah.
He goes over, brings the old ball right back, and you're like, hey.
I don't think that's how Old Yeller went.
I don't think so, but I'm saying it's a beautiful. The Heat did it, right? You have this incredible game. You have this high and low emotionally. Oh, Bam's out. Tyler Hero hits the three. Kobe White this, that, overtime. Oh my God, the feed went out. And you still get the guaranteed result and the result we all wanted, which was 4 to 7% chance of a top 4 pick. And you get taken out back. You play one game of fetch, and then you're done.
So tonight we got 2 more games. Philadelphia, Orlando. Winners in. They play Boston. Loser hosts Charlotte on Friday to play Detroit. And then we also have Warriors, Clippers. Winner advances to the next play-in game. Loser's season is done. Winner plays at Phoenix because Portland winning last night, they get to play San Antonio.
Big game or not a big game? Clippers, Warriors.
Good question.
Because, I mean, you got Steph. You got Kawhi on the other
Steph
side.
on a minutes restriction. How about this league, Greg? It's a do-or-die game. Minutes restriction.
That's wrong, isn't it?
So he's going to hit the restriction, let's say mid-4th quarter. It's a tie game. Steph, take a seat.
I don't believe it in any sport. And that harks back to the Marlins taking out Sandy when he was doing so well in the top of the 9th inning. Why is everybody going so by the book that the book ends up falling on everybody's head? How's that for a stretch of a metaphor?
Good point.
But minutes, why? I don't. Somebody smarter than me explain that to me. What is if your minutes limit is 28? What happens if you play 30?
You explode.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Spontaneously combust. Just explode all over
1
the court.
second after your minutes restriction.
Yeah.
There's blood everywhere.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
See, I didn't know it was that serious. Now I see the restriction.
Who's super pumped about what happened with the Miami Heat yesterday? Inter Miami.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you. I want to know what happened with Inter Miami because I don't pay close enough attention anymore because I don't like the way that they do business. And I think yesterday was another example of me not liking the way they do business.
You were a big Javier Mascherano guy, were you?
No, but it's 2 years in a row that the coach has left all of a sudden because of personal reasons? Wow. Coincidence. These guys have real personal issues when they coach Messi.
Well, Greg, you went to the opening game at the new stadium. What was your take on the matter?
Well, with the previous coach, Tata Martino, he had just been humiliated. His team was a shocking first-round loser to Atlanta despite Messi. And so with cause, I think, he might have come up with a personal reason. I don't know yet. Maybe you do, Mike. I don't know yet what Mascherano's personal reasons are. I suspect that Leo Messi runs that team, and if Leo Messi doesn't sign off on this coaching move, the coaching move doesn't happen, and the personal issues go away. What do you think, Mike?
So Tom Bogert of The Athletic did a whole report on this. There was an argument inside the locker room following their draw, and Messi hasn't been happy since being eliminated in Champions League at the hands of Nashville. And the temporary manager, the interim manager that was running training yesterday, as this was explained to the team.
There's a history there, right?
He's Messi's guy. So no one gets hired or fired at Inter Miami. Pardon me. No one gets hired or fired at Inter Miami without Messi's blessing.
Yeah.
And so, yes, this has number 10's fingerprints all over it. And while this may be surprising to American sports fans in soccer, especially at high-level soccer, especially when you're dealing with big-time superstars, it doesn't even really matter how successful you are. A lot of these managers, they churn in and out. Managers wear thin. A lot of clubs, like Sir Alex Ferguson.
So there aren't teams that have, like it's not a thing where if you're a good team, you've had the same manager for 10, 15 years?
It can happen. There is, a Sir Alex Ferguson example, but typically, even if you win trophies, managers come and they go. I'm a Chelsea fan. Chelsea wins trophies. Very rarely does the same manager win the same trophy. Right. It's just the nature of the sport, and it's the nature of big-time egos. And Messi is a player that is difficult to manage for a manager, and that's what happened here. Mascherano and the team decided, all right, this isn't a fit anymore, And it's because, there was inside that locker room people not getting along.
Yeah, no, there's no question Messi runs everything with this franchise. And the proof of that is that Messi, because he doesn't want to, Messi hasn't done a proper media interview in like 3 years.
It's incredible.
It's like unheard of.
You're very hung up on that.
Well, look,
I'm hung up on it too. I am. I don't like it.
Imagine LeBron James when he first came to Miami. Nobody can talk to LeBron James.
Sell the team to the city. Talk to your fans. Talk to the city.
Yeah, it's weird, but that's because Messi's in charge of everything. He's bigger than any head coach, and so But the fact that it's personal reasons, quote unquote, that's just so lame,
How many coaches now is this for them in 6 years of existence?
I think 4.
4?
No, more than that. I think it's more than that.
I mean, if you want to count the interim guys,
this will
fine,
be
but
at least 5.
But in full time, so we had the first one who went on to manage Uruguay, wasn't very good here. You had the English dude. What's a goddamn?
I forget his name too.
Neville. Phil Neville.
Neville.
Yeah, he was here for a while actually.
Yeah.
And then you had Tata Martino, and then you had Javier Mascherano.
And now this will be 5, right?
Yeah, you had a couple interims, I think, in between there, but no, not a lot.
No.
5 in 6 years is a lot. I'm sorry.
Not
Come
in soccer, dude. Not in soccer. It's the nature of the sport. These are long campaigns, multiple competitions that reside within each individual calendar year, and these guys are around each other a lot. Guys obviously have differing opinions on what tactics should be deployed. And once Messi doesn't like the way something is headed, even for someone who's his friend in Javier Mascherano, can find him very difficult to manage.
Do you think they could still be friends after this?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, you got him fired.
Yeah, so what? It happens.
I mean, if someone got you fired, would they still be your friend?
Yeah, it's business.
Zaz, you got him hired.
Yeah.
Nothing personal.
Dad, you are so sensitive.
What?
Like you're like, oh, it's just business. I'd still be friends.
I
if
wouldn't be able
someone
to do
fired
it.
You got him hired. Javier Mascherano came over here, won a championship with Inter Miami. Javier Mascherano is leaving a more in-demand manager than he arrived.
And when you coach Inter Miami, you understand that you are beholden to Messi. That
maybe
you
that's
have
true.
to keep Messi happy or you don't work out. I mean, it's just the way it is. It doesn't surprise me in the least that if Messi's behind this, it wasn't going to work. Messi's got to be happy.
Greg, were you locked into that WNBA the other night?
The draft?
Mm-hmm.
I was not locked into it. I did not watch it. I read about it. I like the fact that AZ Fudd was the top pick. I think it was a smart move because of the personal relationship she has with Paige Beckers. It makes all the sense in the world. The key is keeping your players happy. We just segue from Lionel Messi getting what he wants to the 2 star players now having what they want, which is to play on the same team. They have a personal relationship, and for them to be teammates makes both people happy. Usually you have to give a big amount of money to make a player happy. If you can make these 2 stars happy by joining them on the same team, why wouldn't you do that?
Now,
it's not like AZ Fudd was a borderline first-round pick and they reached for her. She was a top 5 pick. Who was going to go number 1 was uncertain. So it just made all the sense in the world to me that Dallas picked her. I think it was brilliant.
Now, what do you do if they break up?
That's their problem, not mine.
We did so well there. He thought he was going to trap us. But we read, we studied, and we punted on the difficult question. Punt.
Tony, last night you had an issue where were you last night that you were trying to do something?
I was going to get dinner for my family.
Don't laugh at me.
No,
he knows
'cause
what I meant.
He only
Really
heard a
good
portion
toss,
of the
bro.
story. He
knows what I meant.
I know exactly what he meant. He only heard a portion of the
Don't
story
you
as I was
write that
telling it
down,
outside.
Mike.
Incredible toss by us.
So I'm going to get dinner. I'm living in my in-laws' house right now because our house is getting renovated. We don't live in the house. We live in the in-laws' house. So everybody looked around. Hey, it's kind of late. Let's just get some, redacted sub-chain. Redacted sub-chain. We're going to go over there, and I'll get a couple sandwiches. All right, perfect. So I go to order online. I was like, you know what? I got to go to Publix anyway. I'm going to pass by. I'll just make the order, put it in the car, and then go grab what I need at Publix. So, place closed at 9 o'clock. I looked. All of a sudden, I look, it's like 8:42. I'm like, all right, let me get over there. Like, I'll be the last guy in. As I am the last guy in, I walk through the door, 8:46. All right, enough time, get a couple of subs, everybody's happy, I pay, I leave, right? I walk in, deathly silent. Just like, looking around, like, okay, where is everybody? One girl kind of pops up from behind the counter, and she's like, what do you need?
She was below the counter?
Yeah, because she was cleaning something underneath.
She's laying down?
So, no, she was like cleaning something underneath. So I look up, and I'm like, hey, can I get a couple of sandwiches? She's like, well, how many do you want? And I'm like, 4? Can I get 4 sandwiches? I look at the counter. The entire counter's clean. No lettuce, no tomato, no nothing. Completely clean. And I'm like, it's 8:46. Are you guys not open till 9 o'clock? And she's like, yeah, but we closed early. I'm like, okay, so I can't get the sandwich right now? And she's like, no, I'm sorry. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, okay, fine. So I go over to Publix. I get a pub sub. As I'm walking back to the car, she's still cleaning something on the register. You know what I do? I like to do experiments in times like this where I'm like, what can I do to get a rise out of this person? So instead of giving her the middle finger, which I thought was rude, because, it's not right.
That would have been aggressive.
What I did is...
So it was a 9 p.m. sub, by the way.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. I just went thumbs down the entire way. Just to let her know, hey, I'm not happy about this.
You should have done the thing where you go sideways and you're like...
You could do that next time.
Build up.
You could do that for your own thing. But I just went straight thumbs down the entire way. Just walking the entire Jersey... I mean... redacted subject. I like him, by the way. I very much like him. Thumbs down.
And did she react? Did she see your thumb?
She did. She just stared at me.
Popped up again?
She stared at me. But you know what? I wasn't changing that thumb until I left all the way. And the entire 12 feet of open Jersey... redacted subchain.
Yes.
Thumbs down the whole way.
I like it.
Thumbing it.
I like it. That's fine. See, that's
I'm
nice.
good with
it's
what
like
she
a
did.
wave. It's like a wave.
You're good with what she did?
Dude,
Closed 14 minutes early?
8:46?
No, you can't do that.
You're open till 9.
Yeah.
I expect you to be open until 9.
Yeah, but restaurants start cleaning.
9 o'clock sub is crazy.
For me, yeah, like...
That's what they wanted. What do
you
you
were
want me to do?
approaching the window. You were approaching the window, but you... Good look.
If you're open till 9, be open till 9. Yeah. Clean after 9.
Put it on the poll. If you're open till 9, be open till 9.